Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rams House Podcast. Your host, Ethan, here, joined by my guys, Joe and Will. What's going up, guys?
What's up, boys?
Yo,
How
yo,
we
yo,
doing?
yo. How y'all doing?
Great.
Great. It was, I missed the game yesterday. I had to watch it on replay today. It was pretty exhilarating, pretty nerve-wracking. It was one of those emotional roller coaster games for sure.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff to take away from that game. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to dive into it.
You knew the outcome, I'm guessing, before you watched it.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, it was a freaking roller coaster, man. That was so
Man,
nerve-wracking.
I was standing half the game. I was standing up. Half the
Yep,
game I was laying down. Half the game I was
bro.
sitting up. I did
I
so
was
many.
yelling. I live alone, by
Yeah,
myself. I'm in an apartment by myself, and I'm yelling at a computer
bro.
screen.
I was standing up in front of my TV. It
Yeah.
was in overtime. I was standing up yelling, "Come on, come on, come on, come on, come
It,
on!"
it was one of the more nerve-wracking. I feel like I've said this a couple times this season, so maybe I'm being hyperbolic about like, oh, this game was the most impactful that I can remember. But it really is true because we haven't had that many seasons where each game matters so much. Because we've either had seasons where we're just rolling and we're like 5-1 out the gate, 7-2 out the gate, or like 2022 we were horrible. So this season really is like, I know I keep saying it, but it's true. Like this is one of the most nerve-wracking games I can remember as a Rams fan. It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So as you guys can see by the title, Rams win OT thriller in Seattle. That's going to be the main topic of discussion today. So let's go ahead and jump into the recap. So there was, I think we'll jump into the offensive defensive takeaways and stock up, stock down, all that stuff. But I think the first thing that I kind of wanted to hit on was that it was really a very one-sided game in the fact that the defense was spectacular and the offense was kind of mid.
Yep.
They had a lot of brilliant moments and a lot of
That's 100%, man.
awful moments. Luckily for us, the Seahawks is not a real legit team. I think if we were playing like the Chiefs or the Lions or the Ravens or somebody, we probably get knocked out this game. So we got to improve some stuff. But beating it, but this is divisional game too. Divisional games
Yeah,
are always like
football
this.
game. Yeah, in
And
Seattle.
at the end of the day, we made the right plays at the right time to come away with the victory. So it's hard to even be mad. Because anytime you beat the Seahawks, it's great. We're back to 4-4. We're second in the division. We know the Cardinals are going to fall off. They're always fraudsters. So we're prime position to be number one in the division. So what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah. Just to reiterate what you said, this is a divisional game, man. I kept saying that in our Discord chat. I was like, man, it's a divisional game. It's gonna be hard fought. It's gonna be hard to get through it. It's like a fever dream. Some of the stuff happened didn't look real. So many things transpired during that game that I haven't seen transpire in a football game in a very long time. And especially it repeatedly happened. Like the Seahawks center kept taking the ball over Geno's head and he missed one himself. Stafford throwing the ball, like I think the Seahawks dropped like 6 almost interceptions.
Yeah, bro.
That was
Yeah,
just
no,
crazy.
we counted it when we were watching film this morning. It was 6,
Yeah,
not including the interception itself. There was 6 that were like
right.
gimmies that they just dropped.
That was
Yeah.
just wild. And then I think it was Will or one of our other friends made a great point. Said it felt like I think it was Will felt like the Jeff Fisher days where
Yeah.
we'll be in a close game and it would look so stupid.
It was
And then but
ugly games, man. It was like a
thank you.
2015 Jeff
Right.
Fisher Rams
And
peak era.
during those times we would lose or sometimes win, but it's just beautiful that
Yeah.
I know we have the talent to pull games off like that. And even though, it could be a win is a win is a win, but I still think defensively we saw I think we've been going step forward week by week, but I think this
Yeah.
was the week where we finally showed that okay, this is a good defense. No matter
Yeah.
what the linebackers do, no matter what we might, give a big play here or there. But to me, I think this is a good defense, and it's led by the defensive line.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like I agree with Ethan. Maybe the quality of the opponent is not the best. I mean, even when they were 3-0, I didn't really buy the Seahawks. But again, like you said, Joe, like Seattle and the Rams is always tough. For the last 10 years, it's been tough. It's a division game. It's it's still a good win for me. But then to your point about like the defense, how the defense played really well and maybe not so much the offense. I agree with that, but I think it was really good, like complementary football team win in the sense that there were moments where the offense, like when the offense needed to step up, like for example, end of the first half, the defense just completely collapses in the last couple minutes and it's looking really bad. 13-3 coming out of halftime. Like we needed a score. We got the touchdown. We scored 10 unanswered, excuse me.
Yeah.
Then again, we go into a lull offensively, but then again, end of the game, overtime, we were able to clutch it out. So it's like the offense didn't play well, but they like situationally they were clutch and they closed. And so I thought it was like a complimentary, just like a very good team win, as Sean McVay would say. But
You know what? That's a great point though. They were like very good situationally. Like when we needed to score, they scored. We
right,
needed to come out of half and get that lead back. They did it 2 drives. They got a touchdown. They got a field goal. And then overtime, where we needed to score, we scored. So I think even though the offense was kind of bad majority of the game, in situational moments where we needed the points, I think they did their job.
yeah,
Yeah, the game was as tough as any game is against your little brother. Um, that's how I view the
Yeah,
Seahawks. They're like little,
right.
the Cardinals are like your child because you own them every single time you play them. Seahawks are like the little brother. You own them most of the time, but they can give you troubles because they know you well. And then the 49ers have been like the older brother, but we're the younger brother who's like shot up a foot in the last 6 months and is now kind of similar size. And now
right.
we're like
Mhm.
punching him in the mouth. So it's an interesting
Yeah,
dynamic in the NFC West for sure. But we know the
Yeah,
LA
really,
Rams are going to be the kings at the end of the season.
yeah, really interesting division race. Right?
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the offensive takeaways. Um, Man, what's crazy? I think one of the first things I want to talk about is that D Rob is basically exactly who we've been talking about all season long. We kind of talked about how he's not a true wide receiver 3 because he can't truly back up receiver 1 or 2 if they go down. Because as soon as the spotlight's on him, he kind of disappears. But when he's not a focal point, he kind of shines.
Mm-hmm.
And so his best role is kind of as a wide receiver 4 who gets a decent amount of receiver 3 snaps when everyone is healthy. Um, and yeah, I mean he had a stellar game, right? Besides the great game winning touchdown pass in overtime, he was still good the rest of the game
Yeah,
and
yeah,
made plays and really, like I said at the beginning of the season, I'm glad he's on our team. I just don't want him to have too much responsibility because he tends to fade away in that situation. And so,
yeah,
like yesterday was a perfect opportunity, like an example. We're talking about when D Rob can look really good. So
Mhm.
shout out to him. He had a great game.
yeah, for
Besides
real.
that, on offense, it was pretty rough all around. Let's take a look at the box score, but it was tough sledding, man. It was
Yeah,
Stafford didn't have a great game. He had obviously great throws and great moments, but like we said, he threw like 6 balls that should have been picked off. He did throw the actual interception. 83 passer rating is nothing that you're calling home about. Kyron obviously had a pretty rough game at 3.1 yards of carry. Cooper Cup did Cooper Cup things. Puka got kicked out, for throwing a punch, which is just totally unacceptable and unnecessary. There's nothing to be gained with such a situation like that.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Unnecessary that he was ejected too, arguably. But yeah, it shouldn't have been.
yeah. I mean, I think they've adapted a no tolerance policy on throws punch, unless you're a 49er, which apparently you can just do whatever you want
Right.
to.
That's
But
that's the issue. Yeah,
You
exactly.
know
um,
what, Ethan, real quick, I kind of want to just talk about that just for a little bit. Now I really didn't like it because I don't never. Because to me, it wasn't no crazy punch. It was more like a just something little.
it was
So I
almost
think he
like
should have been ejected.
when someone winds back to push. It was really not a full fledged punch. It was more like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a shove kind of a punch, if that makes sense. It didn't seem like he was
yeah.
actually punching. Yeah, I agree.
But what I was saying in Discord is that's just something Puka has to learn. Like
Yeah.
a game as big as that, you gotta. It's hard because me playing football, your adrenaline be up so high, and then when somebody does something to you, your adrenaline already up, so you automatically want to respond. But it's better to respond in the game, respond with
Yeah.
a catch instead of trying to
Totally.
respond that moment. Just because Puka on this team, you could see how the offense really, really fell off when he left.
Oh
You
yeah.
could
Yeah.
he's needed for this team. He's a cornerstone
It's
for
a
this
huge
team
loss.
right now. So
He feels too many
if
of
he ever,
our.
hopefully, if he ever gets in a situation like that, he handles it better than he
Honestly,
did.
He will.
he's a
He will.
consummate pro. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna learn from that.
It's not like a DK
Yeah.
Metcalf situation where I have any doubt that like
Oh
DK,
yeah,
if
yeah,
there's
no,
an issue every 4 games, there's
Yeah,
an issue.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not Puka.
Yeah,
Puka's going to
I'm
be
sure
just
he's gonna
fine.
be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, to your point, he just fits too many of the needs that we have on offense as a guy who can make big plays, who can catch consistently, who can be relied upon on third down and important situations. Like he kind of fits all those roles as the number one receiver. So yeah, honestly, the few guys who shined, I think, for me was guys like Cup, Demarcus Robinson, and maybe Bo Limmer. And I thought Dotson had one of his best games of the season, despite letting up a sack in the first quarter. That was pretty bad miscommunication situation, but there's not a lot to tell. There was
Yeah.
some dangerous stuff I think that we want to clean up and not have that happen against better teams that are more
Actually,
capable.
Ethan Stafford didn't get sacked the whole game. Actually,
Yeah, but you know what though? The O line
I think it
didn't
was
play. Even if
a
I don't
it
know
was a
It must have
pressure
been
or
a
something.
pressure
the
then.
Yeah, it
the
was a pressure.
pressure. They didn't play well in pass
Well,
protection
let's
though. Even
see.
if the sacks don't reflect that. I mean, they did not hold up in pass protection. That was actually one of the biggest disappointments and surprises for me because
Oh,
we
no,
just talked about how great they played against Minnesota, who is a team that gets a lot of pressure, and we were
yeah.
talking about how impressed we
You
were, and then
you know what
we
it
talk about
was
how it's a
though.
week to week league. Like against the Seahawks, man, they were getting after Stafford all day.
It
They
wasn't.
had
I
a
don't
bad
think it was
they
that
had a bad
bad,
first half.
but I think a lot of it was game plan related. It didn't seem like we had a lot of answers for the blitzes they were doing, like we did against the
No,
Vikings.
Yeah, tons of and I guess to your point, like maybe it's not even the O line as far as execution. A lot of them was just like blown assignments. Like guys are just
Yeah,
running scot free, and then the run blocking wasn't good either. Or, at least relative to what we've seen from this team.
I
So
actually thought the run blocking was pretty good. When we
mm,
rewatched the game I watched it for the first time. We watched it slowly, and there was a lot of opportunities that Kyron missed. But
I mean I didn't see a lot of holes in the run game. I mean some of the runs that got called back, but I
I
don't know.
think
I thought it was a step back for the O line in general. But
no,
I mean, credit to Seattle.
I
Like
think they
they played really well on their front. But
I
you
think
know,
they played well. The O line had a better second half. The first half, to me, it was all bad. Like in the run game, they're
the whole
awful.
offense was
Pass
just
game,
falling
they're awful.
apart. The
yeah,
whole
The first
thing.
half was pretty bad. The second half, I think the O line sort of got it together. And in overtime, they were really good. So I think there might have just been, divisional game. It's super
Sure.
loud in there.
yeah.
It's one of those things.
And then Didich, this was the game where it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's not supposed to be a starter.
Yeah.
He definitely looked overwhelmed.
Yeah,
So
Well,
yeah,
Limmer was
I agree.
great.
Yeah.
I think I have this stat here. Limmer didn't let up any pressures. Like again, that's like the fourth or
Jeez,
fifth time he's had that. So
nice.
in that aspect, and I don't, I think Kevin Dotson only let up one pressure. He was the highest rated Ram during the game yesterday. I think I saw
bro,
that from
look at
PFF.
the pass snaps. It's 44 pass snaps. The
Yeah,
highest
bro.
other person had 39.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's a good point too. Yeah, that we
Yeah.
threw more and there was still more pressure.
So yeah, I think there was ups and downs. I liken it more to a schematical issue than the O line. A lot of the pressures that we observed this morning when we watched it was because we watched it really slow through, and a lot of it had to do with some miscommunications and then them sending six when we had five. Kyron had a pretty rough game in the pass pro as well. We saw a few pretty poor, which is crazy because last year he was like one of the best pass blocking running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, and he
Um,
has been this season too. He's been pretty good in pass protection.
well, he has been, but remember we've gone over this. It's like one or two times a game he gets like he has a really bad pass blocking thing, and it causes a sack or a pressure, and it causes like a bad play. He's been less consistent than he was last year. He still has a lot of elite snaps, but he's been less consistent. Um, Yeah, so the O line was kind of up and down. I think I agree with Joe that the first half was a lot worse than the second half. Um, but yeah, the offense just didn't look all together at all at any point in the game.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's the best way to describe it. There not besides the six should have been or could have been interceptions. There was several overthrows. There was several throws that were behind. Like Stafford just wasn't super accurate today until he
yeah,
was super accurate,
yeah.
which
Besides
is
like a handful of throws that were like great, but then
yeah,
it
yeah.
was like a complete mixed bag. It was like there was a few throws that were like great, and then there was. I mean, we've been talking about it all season.
All
His
season.
reckless decisions, but this was as far as his decision making, this was his worst game.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, you've already said it, like six that could have been 5 or 6 that could have been picked. I actually think his worst throw was a completion to Tyler Johnson on the overtime drive. It's like, I don't know if you guys remember the throw I'm
Yeah,
talking about. I
no,
think it was
no,
actually the
no.
first pass. It was like,
We
okay, that
highlighted
was,
it.
it was like, all right, that was complete, but please
Well,
never
you
do
know
that
what's
again.
crazy about that
That's
play
insane.
is the guy who did not intercept that ball was Tyreek Woolen, and
Great player.
Tariq. Yeah, and what Tariq is known for is aggressively attacking the ball. And on this play, for no reason at all, Tariq just sits and waits for the ball to. If he would have taken a step forward and jumped towards the ball, guaranteed pick six, like game over pick six.
No,
And
it was
for no reason at all, Tariq just waits on it, which he never does. Like, he's known as being overly aggressive. Like, it's one of the reasons Tariq gets burned. It's because he's always going for the big interception.
Yeah.
And he had a mental lapse that should have been a pick six.
Yeah.
Like, we watched it like 5 times this morning. Remember, Joe? It was like Tariq is just sitting there like this, and I'm like, bro, if this guy takes one step forward, it's an interception and a pick six. It was wild.
You know what it is though? To me, I felt like it was probably fatigue. It's overtime. He's probably tired, and he's probably not 100% sharp like he usually is.
And
And then
momentum.
also, and also Tyler Johnson.
Bro.
Tyler Johnson played that ball super aggressively. He went
Yeah.
for it, so that probably caught him off guard too at the same time. So yeah, it was
Because
but
that was the first
you
throw
know,
after a huge momentum shift. That fourth down stop deflated the whole stadium.
yeah.
And
But
it's a big
And then
deal.
to his credit, like, a couple great plays after that. But I mean, I've compared him to
Absolutely.
Brett Favre. Like, I think that's what you get with Stafford is like he's so up and down. It's kind of like similar to what I said about the offense as a whole, where like it wasn't a good day, but it was, situationally. I think Stafford, like, not a good day, but then obviously, like, here and there when we really needed to have it, obviously the throw to D-Rob to end the game was great. So it's like,
It wasn't
but
even
man,
his
it's
best
like,
throw of the day.
no, it wasn't.
He had a throw
Yeah.
earlier in the day where he threw off his back foot. Like, Kyron missed a block, and so Stafford moved over to his left and up, and he moved up into pressure. So then he did a step back throw, that little fadeaway throw he does. That was also to D-Rob, wasn't it? And it was like
Yeah,
a 20-yard
yeah,
completion.
I remember
And
exactly that
it
play,
wasn't,
I was
bro.
talking to Joe about that play. I was like, bro, that was just
The crazy
way
thing
that
about that play is that it was like exactly on target. It was
Yeah.
he hit him in stride, right in the hands, and it was not an easy throw under normal circumstances.
Yeah, he had a couple really nice deep kind of like corner routes. Another one to D-Rob, one to Cooper Kupp. Like, again, like it's just it's so up and down. I don't understand why it can't just be like you're pretty good like most of the
know.
time. It's more like it's like up here and then down here and then it averages out to like pretty good.
You
I don't know, man. Like,
and that's one of the things that we talked about when we talked about Stafford's ability to play long term. And I think this is if Stafford's going to play another 2 years and his arm strength's going to be waning a little bit, he needs to start to play smarter.
Yeah.
And I know Joe won't like this, but I watched an interview with Bill Belichick and Jared Goff this week, and Bill's like, Jared, I coached Tom, and I know what it's like to have a guy playing at this kind of elite level, but what is it do you think that makes you so accurate? And Jared said, it's not really about accuracy. It's about making the right decision no matter what it is. He goes, one of the things that I've really matured in and grown about is just realizing that there's always another opportunity to make a play. If it's not literally game on the line throw, then make the smartest play possible, not necessarily the best play possible, and live to see another down.
Yeah.
And obviously the dude's got like 85% completion percentage, somewhere in that range in the last 5 or 6 games. And it really made me think like, man, I wish Sean and Stafford would implement that a little bit more, right? Because that gunslinger mentality just needs to be toned down a tad when it's not necessary. Like, obviously there's times where it's like, Stafford, go make the best play humanly possible, like in overtime when the game is on the line. But like in the first quarter, on the first, second, third drive, like, throw it away if you need to, or maybe go for the guy who's open in the flat who can get you 8 guaranteed yards over the guy who you're throwing between 3 defenders where it could get picked off or deflected or whatever, right? Like, make the smart play when it's available. I don't know, maybe is it too late for him to adjust in that manner, do you guys think? Because he's been doing this so long.
It's funny that you asked that because I was about to say, like, to your point, and when we talked about this in an earlier episode, we had a huge Stafford
Yeah.
longevity conversation, and you made the point that I don't think, 12, 13, 14 years into his career, he can change who he is. I I agree with you. I think the problem is that he's made too many of those throws work for him to be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to try this. Because again, we just documented it.
But
The
is it
Tyler Johnson
me?
throw, it was completed. Like
Yeah, it's true.
he makes too many. That's yeah. I say it's the problem.
I think it's
good
I
for
think
us
it's
when it works.
becoming more frequent this year though than it has
Yeah,
been in the
yeah. I
past.
think you have seen an uptick this year. I mean, even the last throw, you could argue like it's 2nd and 6. We just need a field goal. Like you actually maybe don't need to go for the home run ball. Now, obviously, it worked, so I'm like, yeah, I love it. And
I
it was single
only
quarterback.
like it because it was single man.
Right, right.
And
So, absolutely. But I'm just saying, like,
but
the
Stafford
mentality.
would throw that with the safety deep. He would.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he did earlier in the game again with Puka. He threw a pick, but
Yeah.
but
You know what? I got two things I want to mention because this is a great conversation. And you guys made me think of some stuff. One, when it comes to, I know Ethan was saying he was listening to the Jared Goff interview and we're talking about, you got another play, you have another down, you don't have to go for it all at once, and throw the ball out. And to me, this is not a part of his regression. This is who he is. Stafford is generally one of the worst quarterbacks of throwing the ball out. For some reason, I don't think he knows how to do it correctly because I don't know if you remember our first year. Um, I don't know if it was interception or not, but we were in
oh
Seattle
yeah,
too.
I
he
remember that.
tried to
It was,
throw it
That was the
away.
pick
it
six,
was in
wasn't
that
it?
I think it was. I don't think it was
That
a
was
pick
so
six. It
funny.
was a pick though. He tried to
Yeah.
throw the ball out in the right corner, the right back corner of the end zone. And he threw it, but he didn't throw it out all the way, and the corner picked it off. The same exact thing almost happened yesterday in the left back side of the end zone. He was trying to throw it out, but he didn't
Oh
throw it
yeah,
out well
I
enough,
remember
and
that. And
Tariq
then
Woolen
Davis
almost
Allen had
picked
to
it off.
like play
Yeah,
defense.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so to me, this is one of those things where I'm looking at staff. I'm like, dude, I said this 2021. You're a 15-year vet, however long you've been in this league. You should know how to throw the ball out, dude. If
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's so he's right there, launch it. You don't have to. I'm not saying throw it 100 feet in the air, but
Right.
throw it out like nowhere. Can nobody reach
Correct.
that? Like
And
Yeah.
and
not just the throwaway,
but
but like, man, there's times where he's trying to fit a ball between three guys, and there's a guy wide open who could catch the ball and run after the catch. Like
exactly.
we talk about, and to their credit, like I'm not even gonna dog on them because the two top quarterbacks in the NFL right now are Lamar and Jared, and they're both also top three in yards after the catch. But and so we go, a lot. Oftentimes we hear about them. We go, oh well, they got receivers really carrying them, but it's not the case with either guy. To be fair, and I'm not a huge Lamar guy. Joe's not a huge Jared guy, but they pass to the right guy at the right
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And what?
I thought you said I'm a huge Jared
No,
guy.
you're
I
not a huge Jared guy. I
No,
said
almost got
Joe
off the
doesn't like
camera. I
the
almost
Jared
left the
guy.
camera. Man. I
no,
almost
no.
left.
So, but to their credit, to both guys' credit, like they pass it to the right guy and in the right space, in the right moment, and allow them to make plays. And at times, I do wish that Stafford would do that exact thing more instead of going.
Yep.
Because think about Stafford's got to be one of the least guys right now in yards after catch. I bet you he's near the bottom. And but part of that is really his fault because he oftentimes goes for the bigger throw rather than the bigger potential play of hit. Because think about it, you got D Rob or Tutu or anyone open 5-10 yards downfield with lots of green in front of them. It
Yeah.
can be a bigger play than the 20-yard throw where they're immediately going to get tackled because it's such tight coverage.
Right. No, he's a greedy
Yeah,
quarterback. That's who he
Yeah.
is. I'm
and
starting to lean towards actually more your side, Ethan. That I don't think he can adjust once his arm strength, becomes significantly weaker. I mean, I remember there's this little story that Dan Orlovsky said when they were watching film together, and Orlovsky was like, "Why did you throw that?" It was some throw probably in double, triple coverage, and
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford said, "Because I can." And like that sounds cool, and that's cool quote, badass, but like that's actually really telling of his mindset is like that's
Yeah.
the curse of having such a talented arm is
Yeah,
that like
exactly.
you think you can make every throw and actually you can make pretty much every throw,
Until you
but
can't.
like that mindset is resulting in almost as many bad plays as good plays, and it's
You know
like
what's funny is
dude,
that
you have to pick your spots and your
it
moments.
reminds me of the curse of the running quarterback, right? The college running quarterback who never really develops the pocket awareness, the pocket presence, or just the ability to like continue making progressions with pressure because they're so capable of bailing. And that's a strong. It's like the strong arm version of that. You
Right,
develop a
right.
bad habit because you're athletically gifted more than most quarterbacks, but it's still a bad habit.
Yep.
And I think it's one of the things, Tom Brady's talked about it this season. I've watched a couple of the Lamar Jackson games, and he's basically said, yeah, like Lamar was not great in the pocket for a while because he was so capable of running, but he's really had to
Right.
train himself to stay in the pocket more and stick through those progressions and throwing, which by the way, I think has really helped him get a lot more yards this season because oftentimes read 3 and read 4 are wide open and able to run for a lot of yards after the catch. And so I'm giving so much credit to Lamar this video. Joe's lapping it up over there, but
He has grown in that. Yeah, I'll give it
he
to him.
has. He's grown.
He's grown.
A lot of the things that I've criticized him about over the years, he's gotten a lot better in the last 2 years. So kudos to him. But it is stuff that I would like to see Stafford do better. But I'm not sure he can develop at this point. And then we do have to wonder, because it is increasing. It's like, do we go out and try to secure a guy to potentially take over? Like a random name, doesn't matter. Pick whoever you, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Anthony Richardson. There's a lot of type guys, right? Who could be the next Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield guys, Sam Darnold guys who are getting a second chance, because realistically, people are not developing well in college. They're not getting enough of a chance at the beginning of their career. There's a lot of talented quarterbacks who are being thrown away who are starting to develop on a second wind and are actually becoming really productive quarterbacks. I mean, who would have thought 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield would be top 10 quarterbacks?
Sure.
But here we and Sam Darnold. I mean, it's crazy, but it's happening. So do we either we're not going to have a high draft pick, so maybe we go get one of these guys, let him sit for a year behind Stafford, and train.
Yeah. One thing before we move on, because I know we've been talking about Stafford for a little long. Just to like put a bow on everything. Speaking on, can he stop making those throws? And I know Will mentioned that it's hard to do that when you make a throw to Demarcus Robinson.
Yep.
And I was listening to a Stafford interview, and he was saying that wasn't even just like the NFC, in the playoffs against the Buccaneers a while back. He was saying that with Demarcus Robinson, that wasn't even the read that he's supposed to
Right.
go to.
Yep.
Yep.
I could
But
totally see that.
he said that he seen DeMarcus get a little leverage, and Stafford just trusted his arm. He just let it go.
It's the same situation
So
actually as that play. That's a really good point, Joe, because
Yeah.
it's basically you see the leverage immediately, and then you recognize that there's no safety deep, and you just let it go.
mhm,
It was the same thing that happened with Cooper Kupp because they blitzed the safety. He saw that, he saw Cooper leverage, and he just let it go and trusted his receiver to make a play. Which
and
what's
believe it
crazy.
or not,
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was saying, believe it or not, though, like you were talking about, it's a lot of guys that because at that time you had Kyron opening the flat. It's a lot of guys that would see when you need a field goal and would hit Kyron in the flat instead,
Exactly.
There
and
was
not
Yeah.
want to
didn't we see
not take the
Cooper?
risk.
Didn't see we Cooper Cup right open too
Yeah, Cooper Cup was open too. A
with
lot of guys would
Green,
have
with a
took that and
bunch
said,
of Green
okay,
in front of
let's
him.
get a field goal. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And so
hmm
it's when it works, it's like a work of art, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but man, he could have thrown 7 picks yesterday, and
Yeah. I mean, look,
uh,
that just on that play, like that's not a high percentage play. Even with a good throw and a good catch, that's not a high percentage play. And if that play doesn't work, you're looking at 3rd and 6, and then all of a sudden, if we don't get it, it's like, dude, we were in such a good spot to get a
and
field goal and end the
it
game. Just keep us on
totally.
schedule, like keep us on track.
And
So
there
it's
was
like
2
it
guys who
worked,
were wide
but
open, like not like
right, it
a little
yeah,
open, like could have caught the ball and run for at least 10 or 15 yards open, like
right,
really open.
right, right.
But I'm
Now,
happy it worked
now
out.
I don't want to,
I'll take it.
and
I
then
mean, it worked, but yeah, exactly. So
also, yeah, right. I want to give Stafford his credit. Like it
yeah,
worked, so we
yeah,
gotta acknowledge that. Okay,
yeah.
he
No,
actually
great
made the
throw,
throw,
great throw.
and
Yeah,
they were elite throws too, like elite stuff. So I do
Yeah, of
want to give him
course.
credit on that. But
Yeah.
going forward, especially we're 8-8 right now. We have 9 games left. All these
4-4.
games are going to be important. It's going to be a playoff game coming up, like he did in the Lions game. Oh no, he had some mistakes in the Lions game too. But if we're
Yeah.
going to go through the playoffs and think about going anywhere in the playoffs, Stafford has to get in that mode he was in 21, and I want to say be conservative, but understand that every play counts,
100%.
especially late in the season.
And
Every
look,
play counts.
and
Just
some of
tone
it
it
is
down.
going to be luck related, right? Like we're going to have to, but I don't want to be lucky. Like I hate to bring it up because it's maybe a cheap shot, but the Jaquez Tart drop. I mean,
Yeah,
let's be real. That
against the
that
49ers, yeah,
probably saved the season, right? And saved the
right.
championship. I don't want to have to be lucky in important situations. I want to make the right play that takes us to the next down, that takes us to the next opportunity.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that like you've seen Mahomes is like bottom tier and intended air yards and and all that stuff, but Mahomes makes the right play most of the time, which is what makes him so darn good. He's kind of developed that as he's gotten less weapons to just like find the out of 5 guys, 1 guy's bound to be open, find him and hit him, and then you have to just rely on them to do the rest of the work. Whereas I think Stafford's mentality is he trusts his guys to catch contested catches, but not to like make an explosive play after the catch. It seems like.
Yeah.
Love Stafford. Glad he's a Ram, but hopefully this can be adjusted, or we really should start thinking about what the succession plan to Stafford's going to be.
Yeah, and I think
it is increasing.
Both are true. Yeah, like either way, we got to start thinking about it. But happy to have him for now, for sure.
Yeah.
Another game-winning drive, by the way. I think he moved to like 6th all time, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Shout out Stafford, man.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting stat. I'll quote real quick to give him his props. That was the 13th go-ahead touchdown of his career in the last 2 minutes of regulation overtime, and he's now tied for. No, he's in sole place of second behind Tom Brady in that stat.
Nice. That's really cool.
And Tom Brady's at 14, so he's probably going to beat it.
Yeah,
that's big. That's big, man. That's big. Shout out Stafford.
To be fair to both quarterbacks, Tom Brady was almost never behind, and Stafford was behind almost his entire career. Yeah, but it's still impressive, and he's going to probably finish with the most in NFL history, which is amazing. It still takes cojones to be able to do that stuff
for sure.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to defensive takeaways. And
that's part of the game, baby.
Oh yeah, and let's dive right into the stats. First of all, Geno 3 picks, sacked 7 times. Had a terrible all-around game. Kenneth Walker, one of the worst games probably of the year, 3.3 yards a carry. JSN went absolutely bonkers. And they didn't have Crybaby over there. So they were obviously missing a primary receiver. But let's take a look at this. We had Kobe Turner with 3 QB hits and a sack. We had Byron Young with 3 QB hits and a sack. We had Jared Verse with 1 QB hit, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack. So the sacks count as tackles for losses too, so you have to separate those. Just so you guys know. Braden Fisk with 2 QB hits, 2 tackles for or 2 sacks, no tackles for loss. Tyler Davis played pretty excellently this game.
Well, yeah.
He had a half sack and a QB hit on that. Kinchins, 2 pass deflections, which I believe were the interceptions. So, and then he did have the TD. I'm not even talking about Hoyt because he didn't earn that either. He never earns his sacks, man. It's never clean for him. It's always mopping up something that someone else earned.
Yeah.
And then two picks for Cameron Kinchins, and Jalen McCullough with another one of the luckiest interceptions I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The way balls bouncing into this guy's hands is unbelievable.
Still a great play to the instincts and reacting, but I mean it's just the ball just finds him. It's kind of funny actually.
Insanely explosive.
He's always in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
It's funny, but it is not a good predictor. I was when we were talking this morning about it. I mentioned the Lions had a player in 21. I can't remember his name. Is Arioriwe or something like that. It's a weird name. Amani, you know what? I'm gonna. It's Amani something. Anyways, he had like 6 interceptions in 2021, and the teammates were calling him Lucky Charms because he was always in the right spot at the right time. And then all of the Lions fans were like, "We're gonna re-sign him. He's a Pro Bowler." And then next year he was a total bust because they weren't bouncing his way anymore. Right. And so don't sign McCullough to an extension like he's some kind of future stud.
Wait, to be fair though, McCullough, I really don't even know if he's bad. To be honest, I haven't seen enough to say he's bad at corner.
Been playing, but the thing he's been playing linebacker like a ton,
that's not even his position. So I don't even know why they even do that anyway.
So we were talking about, Will was making a joke about how he was late to recording in this room because there was somebody talking to a girl and was all down bad. It was a bad situation, and I made a joke about how it reminds me of Seahawks fans today. And I actually want to show this tweet that I found that made me laugh so hard. This Seahawks fan said he would sell his soul to travel back in time and draft Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and Cam Kinchins. Which I would totally feel that way if I were him, but it's just really funny. It's something about the genuine football, not like real pain, but football pain of Seahawks and 49ers fans brings me so much joy. I don't know what it is. But
Well, real quick on Kinshin's,
yeah.
because you mentioned McCullough. Okay, I don't want to be like a Grinch or a buzzkill, but I kind of feel the same way about Kinshin's 2 picks too, where it's like
Oh,
I was down on this guy, and now I'm not gonna be like, oh, he's so back. Like one of them was just an awful decision by Gino. He throws
well,
it right
hold
to. But I
on.
don't know. What do you guys
So
think?
we watched that play like literally 10 times this morning, right, Joe? And we wanted to see
Yeah,
if it was a lucky play or, dude. We
yeah,
watched
because at
that.
first I was with you, Will. I thought it was just an awful throw, but if you watch it, go ahead, Ethan. Cam did a good job.
So when you look, let me first give you a little bit of the background on Kinchins for the season, right? We knew he was a ball hawk at Miami, very instinctual, very good at reading the quarterback size. He starts off horribly. His confidence takes a hit, and then somehow something got this guy's confidence back. He looked like a totally different player this entire game. But the first interception that was returned for a touchdown in the end zone, he played Geno Smith to a fiddle. Geno is starting to panic. He's looking to the right side of the field, and Cam is in this weird that zone, the left side zone of the end zone, and Kenneth Walker's over by the sideline, easy catch. So Geno finally turns back to a safety valve, and Cam kind of fakes like he's stepping towards Kenneth, which makes Geno move back to a different receiver, and then Cam actually takes 3 steps to the right and steps into the throwing lane. The dude was reading Geno Smith's mail. Dude, I promise you, all of you, watch that play again. Cam made that play happen. And if Cam bit hard on the Kenneth Walker read, he would have never been there, and it would have been a touchdown. We rewatched it over and over again. It wasn't a great throw, but that ball gets caught. I'm almost positive it gets caught. That was actually, and then when Cam gets up to run, I know for a fact that Sean McVay was like, no, don't run, and then he breaks.
Yeah, don't take it out. I was thinking that too. I was like, just take a knee, but obviously, great decision.
Because he's a playmaker, bro. He's a legit playmaker. And then the second one was lucky because what happened was the tight end never kind of fully turned around to receive the ball.
That was a weird play.
But Cam made a great read on the play, and he was going to get a nice tackle for loss if the ball was caught. But, bro, it's actually pretty interesting that he made that catch on that ball because it's one where he didn't have a visual on that ball until the moment it passed the tight end's body. And then suddenly the ball's there, thrown a pretty good velocity. So the reaction time to catch that is actually pretty impressive. But more importantly, he was in the right spot to make a play, regardless of whether the ball was caught or not. And Cam is the player that we saw in college, is the kind of guy who is just making plays. He's ready and has the reaction time to catch those balls that are thrown poorly. This was Cam's coming out party. Because it wasn't just those 2 plays. He made a tackle for loss on a screenplay that was really good. He had a couple other really good run stops. Cam was all over the field making plays. I was so jazzed to see how well he was playing all game long. And, I have a feeling he's just going to go up and up and up from here, to be honest. I really do.
I think DB is just such a confidence position.
It is.
Really having one game like that where you get a couple picks, because it's all about trusting your instincts and your reads. And if you're like,
especially as the deep safety, right? Because you're like, you're reading a zone and you got to pick a guy.
Exactly. So it's like, it's so much about, again, trusting your instincts. So now that he has a good game under his belt, I feel like if he can play with confidence, that's so huge for him. So I hope it is just, his coming out party, like you said.
Because realistically, we talked about it. He was never ready to start that early anyways.
No,
so he gets thrown out into the deep end. He sinks, loses all confidence. And then we're like expecting him to swim when everything is going against him, right? The corners are playing bad. We can't finish a sack. The defensive play calling isn't great. The scheme isn't great. We were asking him to make plays when it was all going against him. And now I'm just so happy for the kid, dude. I really think he can be a stud. And if he is who we think he is, it's going to be when JJ3 comes back and we don't ever have to ask Cam Curl to be deep again. And we can just have a rotation of JJ3 and Cam Kinchin's playing deep. Our defense is going to be even better. So let's go through these tweets because we actually, bro, I'm just stoked about the D line. I'm going to go ahead and call them the Fearsome Foursome because it's throwback. It's awesome. And there's just 4 because you know what? All 4 guys are dominant. They're all great. They're all legit.
Yeah, I was saying the other day, I was saying yesterday, I'm at the point where I'm tired of being modest and tired of trying to hold back with my takes when it comes to D line. Today, right now, I think this is a top 5 D line.
You held back because they weren't finishing.
Dana weren't finishing the line in football. I don't think
Huh?
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's a top 5 D-line in football. Like,
I
of course,
agree.
it's some ones that's better. Pittsburgh is better, and I can name some other ones too. But I think it's a top 5 D-line in
I don't
football.
think Pittsburgh's better. I don't.
Ooh, that's a
I'll
good
tell you why.
discussion. They got some
The
guys.
drop off from TJ Watt right now there is pretty big. We have
Well,
Cam
they
Hayward's
have
still all right.
Naismith on the other edge is good too, but he's just been out. But I think he's
yeah,
Yeah.
they
recently
have
got healthy.
decent guys besides TJ Watt, but I think we have 4 Pro Bowl to All Pro quality guys on that deal. Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? Maybe Byron's not Pro Bowl potential,
Yeah,
but we have
yeah.
3 guys who are
Byron Young
Pro
is
Bowl.
hinge. He's hinge. He's hinge. He's hinge. Yeah,
But
yeah.
but he's defending, man.
Solid. He's solid.
The thing about Byron Young is I don't think he's anywhere near his.
Okay,
his
so let's put it
he's
this way. Okay,
scratching the surface.
so there's no one we would no they wouldn't trade TJ Watt for any of our guys in the team. Let's just put that out there, right? But would you trade
Hold on,
any,
hold on. Say it again.
the Steelers wouldn't trade
Oh, the Steelers.
TJ
Okay,
Watt
okay.
for anyone in our D line. But
Yeah, go
would
ahead.
we trade any of the other 3 guys for any other counterparts in Pittsburgh? My answer is no.
I would probably trade Byron Young for Alex Highsmith, honestly. But
Really?
like, that's
Byron Young for Alex?
debatable
Yeah,
based
I
off
forgot
age
about
and
Alex
things
Highsmith.
like
Yeah,
that.
I
'Cause
would.
I mean, I just said it. The thing about Byron Young is, to me, is like he's just scratching the surface. I don't even know. This guy might become like very, very good. Like I think he's
Sure.
coming off one of his best games as a Ram. So it's like
I'll
would
give
be a
it to
gamble.
you. I think
It
it's
would- it would
close.
be- yeah, it would be like I would do it, but I'd be like, dang, we might have messed up because Byron Young
Sure.
in like a year and a half, he might be like really, really.
But
good.
you're
So-
not even considering Kobe Turner or Braden Fisk for either of the
No,
interior guys.
I mean, either way, the point is the same. It's like, yeah, it's arguably it's the end of the potential is crazy. So
And we're comparing ourselves to probably one of the top 3 D lines in the NFL.
yeah,
So that's in and of itself is great. So fearsome foursome, season high in pressure rate 59.1. By the way, that's insane, guys. I don't know if you follow stats like pressure rate. That is an insane pressure rate stat. And then the sack rate 15.9%, also absolutely bonkers. We sacked this guy on 16% of his dropbacks. That is insane.
man.
So
finally getting home,
and it feels so good.
and none of us were worried, by the way. Like us 3, I think we were all pretty consistent. Like, because we had a lot of Rams fans like complaining, like, oh yeah, well the pressures are there, but not the sacks. First of all, pressure is good in itself, point blank. But like the sacks have to come with that kind of consistent pressure, and they're 7 sacks. So they're coming.
I want to reiterate that point, right, about pressures, because people forget. On average, a pressure lowers the quarterback's passer rating by 30 points. That's the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Daniel Jones. That's what a pressure does.
That pick 6 came from a Byron Young pressure. That's what pressure gets you. Like
absolutely. And that's what Sam Kinchins read the panic, read the QB's eyes, and played him like a fiddle. It was beautiful. After we finish, we'll rewatch that play like closely, just watching him, and you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, he actually dominated that play.
Nice.
Okay, so fearsome foursome, 6 tackles, a sack, 3 QB hits. So this is actually different than ESPN stats, probably more accurate. ESPN never does QB hits and all that stuff very accurately. Kobe Turner, 6 tackles, sack, 3 QB hits. So kind of I would call those guys our B-side guys because I consider Braden Fisk and Jared Verse both future superstars. Mm-hmm. And then Fisk, 4 tackles, 2 sacks, and then Jared Verse, 3 tackles, 2 for loss, a pass breakup, and a sack. Actually, Braden Fisk had a pass breakup too.
Yeah. I remember that. Yep. Batted the ball. Yeah. That was a big play.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep going to this because it's freaking sick how good our D-line is.
Keep going, man.
Braden Fisk,
Don't stop.
last 2 weeks, a lot of fans were kind of starting to get shaky on Braden Fisk after the first few games of the season. And I know I never wavered. Joe, you never wavered. Will, you were a little bit like, I still think he's really good, but I'm starting to feel like maybe we made a mistake.
No, I never said I think we made a mistake. Okay. I was criticizing him for missing tackles and missing sacks, but it was never like a big picture like I'm
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. But he's finally coming in his own. 2 weeks. He's 3rd in pressures among all interior D linemen, 2nd in sacks, and 10th in pressure rate. And by the way, I have a huge complaint about this fact. He's done so, and we watched the game this morning closely, and I knew Fisk had a big game, so I was watching him intently on defense. And Joe noticed it as well. He was not playing that many snaps yesterday. He took whole series off, which is, for me, utterly unacceptable. I don't think that's a Braden Fisk thing. I think that's maybe he was on a snap count because didn't he tweak his back or something?
Yeah, he tweaked his back a couple weeks ago. He did.
I'm gonna go ahead and chalk it up to that, but The last
Oh, I
two.
thought you meant in the game. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
I hope he's on a snap count because I saw him out of the game way too often. It was super frustrating.
Matter of fact, let me see if I can find this snap real quick.
I was looking for it earlier and I couldn't find it. I'll pull it up for the stream. But
Does it show all the players when you look that up?
snap counts, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
on
I'm just curious now that you say that what the snap count was like for Bobby Brown versus like Tyler Davis and
That's a
Gallimore.
good. I was
feel like
wondering that as well.
Yeah, I feel like I saw Davis and
Okay,
Gallimore
the
in
snap
there?
counts have been updated. Let me pull them up on the screen for you guys. This is going to be, we're on the right side. Luckily, we can see it. I'm going to do defensive snap counts. Yeah, Braden Fisk, 61%. I mean, I want to see him at, I want to see him at 100. To be honest, I want to see him at 100, and he's got the motor for that.
Yeah.
What was Jared? What was Jared at? What was Jared at?
Jared versus the 86.
Okay.
Well, here's something I get annoyed with. Like, I don't want to see Michael Hoyt on 48% of snaps. I don't want to see Bobby Brown. But look, Bobby Brown and Tyler Davis are nearly half-half. Look.
Wait, my eyes are like.
Tyler Davis, Bobby Brown right here.
What percent did Bobby Brown have?
31, and Tyler Davis is 25.
Okay, I like that. Just so the audience is tracking, like, why we're asking is we've been on this show, we've all been very critical of Bobby Brown, and all three of us think he's trash. So I like having Davis and Gallimore in there.
He actually played the second most number of defensive snaps. Braden Fisk did against Seattle.
Now you wanna be sick to your stomach? Wait, against Seattle this week?
Yeah,
not percentage wise or quantity.
Percentage 61. Yeah, that's his fourth most played game because he had
four
of them when he was in the early 50s.
He needs to start getting more full-time work. He's got the motor for it. But you wanna be sick to your stomach. You wanna be angry at Sean McVay. You wanna be upset. This is what you should be upset about right here. Omar Speights, who had two of the biggest plays of the game, only played 5 snaps.
Yeah, he barely played.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I noticed that we ran a lot of packages where there was only one linebacker on the field.
Well, no, you're right. But Jalen McCullough was playing linebacker on those plays. He was lined up directly next to Roseboom. There's not a world that exists where McCullough should be getting snaps over Omar Speights. There's no world. That's just unacceptable to me.
Well, I guess the thing with that is if you're going to have one linebacker on the field, obviously give me Speights over Roseboom.
That's
the switch I would make. Because I guess they're trying to go DB heavy. I can sort of understand that if it's like a game plan.
Bro, but McCullough was playing the run and he was blitzing the passer. He wasn't really like there to be another coverage guy. I mean, Joe, we watched it. We were pointing it out all game. McCullough was there playing at the line of scrimmage all game long.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's weird. Yeah.
And then Hummel had more snaps than him. This is crazy to me. Omar is playing well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out. Omar is playing well with every snap he gets. Why is he playing so little?
Yeah.
I think it's maybe like Will was saying. I think they're trying to be faster.
Yeah. No, I think that's
coverage. They're trying to be faster in coverage. So I don't know if Omar's ready for that right now.
And part of it too is because I think constantly. Go ahead, Will. My fault. I was going to say I think it's too because Seattle hasn't really been a good running team. So I wonder if part of it is like you said they were fine with just going lighter and faster, but I don't know.
McCullough got abused a lot, to be honest. He did not have a great game.
But either way we argue it, I agree. I mean, Speights. I want Speights on the field. Period. Point blank. So especially like Roseboom being on the field over him, I don't understand, but. Whatever. He played awful again, by the way. Roseboom played
horrific.
Yeah.
Who did?
Roseboom.
But that's almost not even worth mentioning at this point because it's like that's every week.
Yeah. Roseboom played. Roseboom played. Same difference.
You know who else played awful? And it's sort of been trending this way. I know one of our friends in Discord said the same thing. He was okay last game, but Kello this game was pretty bad.
He was awful.
One thing he keeps doing is he keeps gambling for thing.
Yeah.
And I think he thinks he's better than what he's better. I think he thinks he's better than what he is.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's a decent corner. If I got a cornerback group and he could be the third best corner, something like that, I'm cool with that.
Yep.
He's a decent corner. But the plays he makes plays that only the elite guys should make because they can make it happen. Every time Kello jumps like that, he never makes the play ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
He always
he's not that kind of corner. He's not like he had a couple picks last year, but like Yeah, no, he's
Right. He has some spectacular plays. Like the interception against the Bengals last year was pretty fire. I like that interception.
yeah,
But he's not sort of having an impact this year. He's been decent. But the
yeah.
guy
Okay.
that I want to talk about the most, I'll talk about Kobe Durant later. I have a little to say about him. But Darius Williams again, he had a couple plays here and there. He had that one play where he gave it a touchdown because the flag came out and the whistle blew, so he stopped a little bit and let Jackson Smith and Jigba get past him and blah blah blah. But I
Yeah.
think Darius Williams is legit, like Ethan said it. Cornerback two, he's probably top two or maybe the best cornerback two in football.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, but he's basically our cornerback one now, right?
yeah, and the cornerback one, I think he's still
He's
an okay
okay.
cornerback
Yeah,
Yeah.
one.
yeah. He's
Yeah,
But
but
yeah, I
if
agree.
he, as a cornerback too, he's elite.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And when
and
I
I
watch D Will, bro, other than Jalen Ramsey, D Will is the other guy, the only other guy, Marcus Peters to leave too. But the recent Rams, the other guy that I watched on this Rams team there, I look at him, I say, that's a legit corner in this league. He
yeah.
tackles well.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
He
bro.
goes to the ball well. Only thing I wish that I want that playmaking thing from D Will again, like he used to have, to where he would like he dropped an interception yesterday. I want to get back to
Yeah,
that
that
type
was
of
But
deal where he
that's a thing
huge.
that's easier to be done from the number 2 spot, and he's playing number 1.
yeah,
He's got to be more careful. He has to be more reserved. So I
Yeah,
yeah,
think
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I think it would be something more prominent in that situation. But
yeah, and to your point, D Will had a couple really nice plays in the
yep,
run game, like two like
Oh yeah,
crucial
yep,
plays in the run game,
he was dominant.
which is for a corner
he's
that's
good,
impressive,
bro.
man.
He's just a solid
Yeah, he's
good
playing
player.
very well. I mean, couple like you mentioned, a couple of miscues though with touchdown. There was a
Yeah,
deep throw to Lockett where he just didn't play the ball. But I mean, dude, I mean, it's gonna happen. Of course, you play cornerback, you're gonna give up some. Overall, he's playing
yeah,
very well. Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
Um,
so you guys ready for stock up, stock down?
and actually,
Go ahead.
there's a couple things I just want to get off my chest as far as the defensive
Yeah.
takeaways. Like, I did think overall it was obviously it was a good day, but I think I mentioned it briefly, but just want to reiterate the last couple of minutes of the first half was unacceptable, though. I mean, that's just a complete collapse. It was a 3-0 ball game. You're looking at it like, oh, this is going to be a low scoring, ugly game, and then you just give up 2 touchdowns in a couple minutes. And the thing that bothers me is like it was like mental miscues. It wasn't
Yeah.
even being out executed. It was like, bro, how many times did we jump on a hard count? Like that happened
A lot.
like literally 5 or 6 times, and
No,
it just
more than
kept
that,
happening on
Will.
days.
More than that. I think it
Yeah.
was like maybe it was like 8 or 9 times it
Yeah,
happened.
no, you're right. You're
So
actually
many
right. It was
times.
more like 8 or 9. And then on two long balls we gave up were because I guess the DBs thought that they're just going to whistle it dead
Yeah.
off the neutral zone infraction, and which is just not how the rule works a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Offsides, neutral zone infraction, either way. And you're just giving up free chunk plays. So like that was obviously disappointing, and that just can't happen. If that doesn't happen, the game might not even have been that dramatic and nerve wracking. But other than that, obviously a great job overall. The great job in the run game again, 2 weeks in a row. And I know Seattle isn't like the best running team, but still, man, Kenneth Walker is a good back, so like that was great to see. And then yeah, just the overtime, man. We talk about the 4th and 1 stop. It was actually 3rd and 1 and then 4th and 1. So that's 2 plays in overtime when Seattle is driving that you stop them for 1 yard. That's
That's
big.
big, man.
That's just massive, man.
That's
Like
big. That's
so
big.
overall, great job for like I just loved
Yeah.
it. Great
I
job.
actually have one more point I remembered I wanted to make about the defense as well. Because of how dominant the foursome fearsome is, I have been we talked about this earlier, Joe, but I think that we should be playing a lot more 4 down linemen, and I think we did this last game because you saw Tyler Davis and Bobby Brown only added up for 45% of the snaps, or 55 or something like that. But I would like to move towards that more. Because we get plenty of pressure with those 4 guys rushing, and then you can have 2 linebackers or 1 linebacker, so you can go 4-1-6, which would be a dime, and then you go 4-4-1-5, which would be a nickel. I'm cool with either of those. That's also the flavor of the day currently with NFL defenses when they're playing 2 deep safeties, 2 deep zone safeties. They're playing nickel and dime, and they're doing a really dense zone in front of 4 rushers. That has been insanely successful against the pass this season. And when your D line is as dominant as ours has been, I think you can afford to do it. So I'm talking about like maybe 5 down on obvious running downs, and then 4 down on pretty much all other downs. I think that's the best way to you could still be technically a 3-4 defense while doing 4 down. you don't have to switch your defense to a 4-3, but I think it's just about putting the best guys on the field at the same time. Like I would love, obviously this isn't happening, but I would love to see the foursome fearsome with Omar Speights and then 6 DBs. I think
Yeah.
that would actually be so difficult to pass against because you're getting pressure and you have this really intense and totally like stuffed up passing lanes because there's so many guys in zone coverage. That sounds like a nightmare, and that exact defense has been tearing passing offenses apart this season.
Yeah. No, it's we're in an exciting spot, man. Being able to get pressure with just 4, not having to send extra guys, and then like you said, being able to like stack the back end. Where are you guys at with Chris Shula today? How are you guys feeling?
He's
Uh,
improving. He's improving.
he's improving. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I've been seeing stuff the last 3 weeks.
His
I've been seeing
blitzing.
certain
Yeah.
things he's been implementing that's really neat and really unique.
I'll tell you.
I've been liking what he's doing.
I'll tell you
Me too.
what I could do without is seeing Byron Young, Jared versus Michael Hoyt in coverage.
Yeah, I don't get
It's
like
it's
Yeah.
happening a lot.
yeah, I
I'm done with that for like ever.
It's
You know
the
what's crazy
exotic
is I looked it up last year because Raheem was doing it so much. Because someone was like on Twitter was like, oh, you know, everyone drops their edge rushers in coverage, and I looked it up, and TJ Watt had like two pass attempts against him all season,
but the thing is, and
and
he's
Hoyt
good at
had like
that's really
18.
rare. Yeah, and TJ Watt's special. Like he can actually do that. I mean, that's
But
that's like
he doesn't still because he's so good at rushing the passer.
right. No, but I'm saying like even if he were to do it here and
Yeah.
there, like at least he's like weirdly good at it.
I
Not
want to say
like Michael Hoyt, who's 300 pounds. Like that's just ridiculous.
I want to say I looked up like the main guys like TJ Watt and Nick Bosa and those kinds of guys, and they only had a couple of times
Yeah.
where they were in pass coverage, and the ball was passed
Right.
near them. So yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's do stock up offense. You know what? I'm gonna beat a drum for a specific purpose. I'm gonna give stock up to Bo Limmer. He continues to shine. He continues to impress, and the reason why I told you guys last time, it went from I'm really excited about Bo Limmer to Bo Limmer's playing pretty well to Bo Limmer is officially an NFL starting caliber center to this final, or not the final, but the next iteration of the stock up for me, Bo Limmer, is that he should be starting over Jonah Jackson.
Okay.
Even if Jonah Jackson's healthy, Bo Limmer deserves to start over him.
Yeah, no, and I think that's an interesting take and an interesting conversation. Like, I don't know how in depth we want to go on it right now because I think just because you're paying Jonah Jackson a lot,
They're
I
gonna
think
give him a
the
chance.
instinct is like, okay, I guess we kind of like have to start him almost.
Yep.
But to your point, like Bo Limmer is playing so well, so that's going to be a really interesting thing to track. But yeah, I hear you. He's playing great.
I agree. I think Bo Limmer is playing awesome, and we're in quite a conundrum, as they say.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out because if it was me, and this is the reason why I'm not in the front office, I would make crazy moves. But this is me. Jonah Jackson will be on a flight somewhere tomorrow. I would
That's not
send Jonah
crazy though.
Jackson out,
That's not crazy though. I think that's
and
smart.
yeah, I would send
Because
Jonah Jackson
look.
out, and I would send Parkinson out with him,
Yeah.
and I would
That's-
reshape the tight
that's,
end room, and I would trade Jonah Jackson.
All right,
That's
all
what-
right. Here's
that's what I would do.
here's the trade offer: Jonah Jackson, Parkinson, and a fourth for Michael Mayer from the Raiders, and either Diablo or
Diablo.
who's the other guy's name? Robert Spillane.
Oh, Spillane would be
Spillane's
extra.
crushing this year. He had a great year last year, so I'm talking about Jonah. I mean, that's a good trade for both teams. Jonah, Parkinson. So you give them another backup, a secondary tight end, and a 4th-round pick for Michael Mayer, who they're not really using because they have Brock Bowers, who's really talented, and for Spillane, we get to fill probably our two biggest needs right now, inside linebacker and tight end, and they get. I mean, Jonah Jackson would be under contract for 2.5 years. Very, very reasonable price. And then you get Parkinson, who's under contract for a couple more years at a very reasonable price, and a 4th-round pick. I think that's a win-win for both teams.
Agreed.
And the thing is, Jonah's not like bad. He's good.
No,
It's
he's
just
not.
he's injury prone.
He's injury
He's
prone,
injury prone.
and he's unnecessary because we've seen Dedich
Mhm.
can come in a pinch and be good. Like
Yeah,
like if
so
Limber
Raiders
got hurt
fans-
or Avila got hurt, Dedich can come in.
So
Yeah.
Raiders fans out there, if you guys mad about the trade, Jonah Jackson is a good player. We just don't need him. That's just the issue that we got
Yeah.
ourselves in. We don't need
Hey.
him anymore.
Yeah. The
Call
price
your-
tag and the injury history is the issue. Yeah.
Get on your phones, Raiders fans. Call Bull Cut and make this happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I'll go real
Mark
quick
Davis.
for my stock up on offense. I'm gonna throw some money on the Demarcus Robinson stock.
Hmm.
Okay.
He had
Yeah.
his catches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I think all 6 of his catches were enormous catches.
Yeah.
He had a couple on third down we needed him. He had one in overtime we needed him. He caught some hard passes too. I know we had a problem him getting his feet in, but I think he did a good job of, of it was one play where I think it was that exact play we were talking about where Stafford made a great throw. He was sort of drifting out of bounds a little bit, DeMarcus, but he was still able to keep his balance and sort of stay in. So I like that from DeMarcus, and I think he's going to be my stock up. And Jordan comes back next week, hopefully,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
and you slot D Rob and that Robert and that wide receiver 4 next game just because Jordan's just coming back. DeMarcus probably going to be in the 3 spot, wide receiver 3 spot for now, but you slot him in at 4, and I think he's consistently
Gold.
a 50 to 60 round guy, maybe a touchdown every
Yeah, I
game.
mean that's a guy though that he might be the best fourth guy in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had the same stock up, and I've been very up and down on D Rob. Actually, I've been up, I've been down, up again, down again. I had stocked him down a couple weeks ago because I made the point that while Puka and Cooper were out, we needed this guy to step up and give us
Sure.
more as a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. And I think I was fair when I critiqued him and said that he didn't step up in that moment. And then I was almost gonna not stock him back up because, as you know, Ethan, you made the point first. We've made the point a couple times is, yeah, well, he can look good when he's the third guy, and
This
last
is
week
who
he
he
looked good
is.
because he's Cooper and Puka are back. So maybe do I not even stock him up because, like, yeah, he played pretty well, but he's the third guy. But look, you score 4 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Nah, you're gonna get a stock
You know
up,
what?
and
You have to stock him up because you did stock him down.
yeah, exactly. That too. It's that's also true.
I
It's
didn't.
relative to what I thought about him. But the thing is too is, guys, like, I didn't even think about this fully until we started talking this. Puka was out. So
Yep.
he was
Yeah.
the wide receiver too. And I
Yep.
had critiqued him for not being a good wide receiver. I was like, oh, he's a 3 or 4, which he probably is, but he's in that game, he was a damn good wide receiver too. So stock up, and I think it's going to be really interesting what they do because obviously the Rams run mostly 3 wide receiver sets, 11 personnel,
Yeah.
and Whittington I love, but I'm also liking D Rob more. So I mean, the answer simply might just be they mix and match and they get equal
I
snaps.
think
But
we rotate them and play more four receiver sets.
I could see that too. I could see
I
that too.
genuinely think that's the answer because tight
Yeah,
end is just not working, and all the guys are good at blocking. So,
yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I feel that. But
um,
yeah, I mean, props to D Rob, man. I mean, he's a he's kind of got like that weird. You might have mentioned it, Joe. Like Ravens fans talking about him, like he's got like a weird like big play like X factor,
Yep.
just kind of like it factor to him, where he'll make plays
Yep.
in big moments. So I love
he
that, man.
he
Good for D Rob.
is he is exactly who I thought he was all season. I knew he wasn't good enough to step in as a main guy if the attention's on him, but I know that he's big play capable at any time. So,
Yeah.
all right. Let's move on to stock up defense. This one is a lot more competitive, a lot more options to
Yeah,
choose
a
from.
lot of options. Yeah.
I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit because I've never wavered on this guy. I've always said I compared him to AD when he was down, so I'm not leaving now. But I think this guy now has shown that he's capable of being. Look, hot take to people who don't pay attention. I think maybe, but I think Braden Fisk has top 5 interior D lineman potential.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's so disruptive in both aspects of the game.
100% he has that potential, man. He's got rare ability, like rare ability.
I
Remember,
agree,
you
man.
guys remember what I said about Jared
Especially-
Verse last week, where I was talking about how he has a complete game. He has a repertoire of pass rush moves. He has all this stuff, and then you go, okay, well, does he have the physicality, the athleticism to back it up? Then he crushes the combine, and you go, okay, he has the motor. It's the exact. They're like the same player, just different positions. They both have insane motor, crazy repertoires, good hand fighting, good footwork. They're a complete good against both the pass and the run. They're both complete at their positions, and I'm you know what I loved about this week with Braden Fisk too is he got moved all around the line. He played nose tackle sometimes. He played 5 tech.
Yeah,
He
it was
played 3
smart.
tech. that works for him. He's good at that. And you know what? They also did it with Verse. Verse lined up at nose a couple of times this week. He lined up at 3 tech. He lined up out wide at the 7 tech. He was all over the place. And oh man, we might have the best duo in the NFL as far as DT and edge in like the next year or two.
Bro, what a draft. Like,
What a
oh,
draft.
specifically just like first of all, yeah, what a draft, but like and just specifically those two picks, man.
Oh,
Like pairing those two, like chef's kiss. It's
you,
so I freaking love this, man. I
you
love both of
know,
these.
I forgot who I was gonna do stock up on defense, and now I hope one of you guys does him because if not, I'm gonna do him at the end. But Braden Fisk deserves that, and he stock up because he went from a guy who I knew could be a stud to a guy that I'm pretty sure could be a top 5 guy in the NFL. So
Yeah, no.
he's a
I
superstar.
agree with you.
Yeah, well, mine is not going to be the one that you're thinking of because I had the exact same one, and I knew someone else would do Braden Fisk, and in my head I was like, I don't care if someone else
Yeah.
does Braden Fisk, I'm doing Braden Fisk
earned
because
it.
no matter what, because he earned it. Yeah, exactly.
He was,
Like,
by the way, he was responsible for 4 sacks.
yeah,
He got the 2, and then
Oh.
he was the sole reason for 2 others happening.
yeah, no, he was an
Wrecking ball.
absolute menace, bro. Absolute, and like, I mean, you already said a lot. So the other, like you mentioned how he's the complete package, and in addition to that, he like all the things that he has that coaches love and the intangibles and the athleticism and the strength. Then you combine that with things that you can't coach or teach, which is like a rare first step. Like his first step, his
Yeah.
quickness. And then I guess this is coachable, but his hands, man, he's got such good hands and quick hands. And bro, like
Yeah. He's Verse. He's a bigger version of Verse, man. He is.
yeah, no, I just Verse and Fisk, man, this is so exciting to watch, and they're just getting started. I mean, this was just now Fisk's best game, and I'll just end by saying this. I said this, last week about Jared Verse, where this is the game where it was like, okay, this guy's going to be a star. It was the exact same thing with Braden Fisk. This game, it was like, all right, this guy is. I'm sure that this guy's going to be a star, and the fact that we have them both, man, and we got them in the same year, like. Oh man, it's gonna be a good 4 years.
Pardon
bro.
my
I agree.
pardon my crude joke, but hearing us talk about Fisk and Verse reminds me of that GIF where it's like, stop, I can only get so hard. That's how I feel listening to these. They're so good, man.
You mentioned the fearsome foursome, Ethan. First of all, love that, and I like the the pressure and the expectation or whatever, however you want to put it. You know what it reminds me of too is that it was just like a few years back, St. Louis Rams, when we had like Chris Long, Robert Quinn,
Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers.
Rocker,
yeah,
Michael Brockers,
exactly.
Aaron
Like
Donald,
like it's like that. Like we have a seriously really good D line.
It's like that, but
it's
better.
That's a big statement, but I'm not gonna be
I'll tell you why.
I'm not gonna call you crazy.
Like guaranteed, because it's pretty similar. But Kobe Turner is a lot better than Michael Brockers. Like a lot better than Michael Brockers. Braden Fisk is
Similar type of players. but
Braden
I-
Fisk is obviously not as good as Aaron Donald, but I think Jared Verse is better than Robert Quinn, and I think Byron Young and Chris Long are similar quality players.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chris Long's career is kind of weird because he had like a very short peak, and then after that But the thing is too, like, this is the last thing I'm going to let you go, Joe. Is the thing I love about Jared Verse too. I know we were talking about Braden Fisk, but just now that we're comping him to like Robert Quinn and all them, is Robert Quinn was really just like a pass rusher.
Trick pony.
Jared Verse is not just a pass rusher. He is an edge defender. Like he plays the run just as well as the pass. He's not just there for sacks. Like he is an edge defender, not just an edge rusher.
And not just that, because that's an excellent point that I was just thinking about. Not to expand upon that. Not only was Robert Quinn solely a pass rusher, but he was also a one-trick pony. All he could do was bend. I guarantee if we look back that Robert Quinn's quantity of pressures was nowhere near as high because he was basically getting a sack. If he got through, he was getting a sack. Right. He wasn't a high pressure guy because he really didn't have any inside counter moves or anything. And so Verse is just tremendously more complete in every way as a pass rusher in his entire game. And we got Jared Verse, bro.
I love this.
We got Jared Verse.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, my stock up. I'm gonna keep it simple. I know it was 2 weeks ago, maybe I had an issue with Jared Verse on some of the missed tackles. Of course, I always thought he was a superstar, but I sort of was just making sure that I wanted to say that so I can keep an eye on it. But this week, I'm gonna throw my life savings into the Jared Verse stock. I
Okay.
think he's legit. No kidding at all. I know we keep saying it's the superstar word, we're throwing it around, but he's legit a superstar.
Throw it, bro. Go ahead.
Like he's a legit a superstar.
Superstar.
This is what
Superstar.
week. We're in week 8, I think. Week 8.
Not 9 technically, but yeah.
Okay,
Eighth
week
game.
9. It's taking him 8 games to become a legit superstar in our eyes. He might not be a superstar around the league just yet,
Right.
but I think
They'll
he's
find out.
getting.
They're gonna find out.
But
Yeah.
to that point, if they don't think he's a superstar, they're wrong. He is
They just haven't been
on
watching.
all the charts. Jared Verse is
Yeah.
top 3 in pressure rates among edge rushers.
Listen, I'm telling you what's going to change it. The Thursday night game, he was dominant. Monday night game,
Yeah.
he needs to be dominant again because that's when they're going to sit on the Monday night game in the playoff game.
And
Once he has that
yeah,
that little stuff together, next year I think he's going to come in the season a superstar.
I mean, to your point, we talked about him being a future top 5 guy. After this game, you could probably make an argument that he's a top 5 guy already, to be honest. Hot
Let me
take,
see.
but
Only
They're-
guys.
they're-
I'm not gonna lie. Only guys I'm taking over him is Hutch when healthy. P.J. Watt. I'm gonna wait. I don't know
Miles
about
Garrett,
the
maybe,
I don't
but
know
you got to
about the
remember
Dolphins.
Miles Garrett's kind of
Uh,
an interior guy,
Miles Garrett,
and then Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. And then that's pretty. Bosa. I guess I'll take Bosa. even
Bosa's
though I
had
don't
a
like
bad year, to be honest.
Bosa's had 2 bad years actually. If people notice, he was bad last year too. But
So there's an argument to me.
uh,
He's in that top 5
he might be.
conversation.
He could be in that top 5 conversation right now today. Yeah.
All right, so no one mentioned my guy, and I think he needs to be mentioned because we did stock down him a few times, and he came out with the third longest interception return for a touchdown in the last. It's Ed Reed has 2 longer in the last like 30 years.
Yeah.
And college too, man. The U.
It wasn't just the picks. It was the run stop plays. It was the confidence he was playing with. It was the intangibles in the area of the way he was reading the quarterback, the way he was playing with instincts. Like he didn't just look like a rookie who was redeeming himself. He actually looked like a legit good starting free safety.
Yeah.
And so stock up on Cameron Kitchens because I'm re-solidified, even though I never gave up on Cam Kitchens. I just said I think he'll be better in year 2. I'm re-solidified in the fact that he's going to be a good free safety in the NFL.
I hear
Which-
that. Yeah.
Which means we crush the draft, baby, because we have 2 top 5 guys in the rounds 1 and 2, and now our third round guy's looking like a stud as well.
Yeah. And Blake Corum is a stud. Sean McVay just won't let him play.
Sean McVay just holding.
Yeah, that's a
Sean
big
McVay's got him tied up with a chain in his basement. Won't let him come out and play with the
Yeah.
kids. Like,
Yep.
Anyways, we're not gonna harp on that too much. Stock down offense. Stock down offense it's a little tough because a lot of guys had up and down days. I can't stock down Kyron anymore, or he'll be in the grave. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna have to say, I know people are not gonna like this, but I'm gonna have to say Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
For the reason being, some of what we talked about earlier is just that he's kind of proving to me throughout this whole season so far, but especially in the last, this week and in a couple other games, that he is on a bit of a downward trend as far as the amount of these risky throws that are not being completed well, or they should be intercepted, or like he's getting very lucky right now. His quantity of turnover worthy plays is high, and he's getting really lucky that we're not turning the ball over more, and not necessarily like stock down, we need to get rid of Stafford or whatever, but stock down as in I don't think he has 2 more years left in him of elite play.
I mean, it makes sense to stock him down after that game
Yeah.
because that was
It was bad.
the most amount of bad decisions probably
Yeah.
that I've seen in a single game from this season. So it makes sense.
Yeah. My stock down offensively is I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit here, and I'm gonna go Kyron Williams.
That's with the grain, baby. Welcome.
I was watching.
He said that's what
I watched the. Oh, good joke. Good joke.
that's funny.
I was watching. Oh my god! But I was watching. I watched the game, and he didn't pop off the screens. I rewatched it myself, and I rewatched it with Ethan and a couple of our buddies on Discord. And Kyron, he just, it's like one of those things to where he just doesn't give you what you want. Like sometimes he can sort of do it, but he's just missing this piece in his game. And to me, it's the athleticism
Yeah,
and the
Yeah, yeah,
agility
yeah.
and the
He's not
burst.
dynamic.
He's missing there. That's a better word. It mixes it all together in one. He's missing that dynamic ability.
yeah.
Like speaking of a dynamic player, you seen the Saquon Barkley highlight.
Oh
Oh
my
my
Like
gosh,
gosh. So
unreal.
where he hits the
Backwards
spin
hurdle.
move and hurdles over a guy backwards. You know
Yeah,
how incredible that is. And I'm
yeah,
not saying Kyrie has to be on that type of dynamic
sure.
level, but
yeah,
he
yeah.
still needs to be at the level where you know he could take a. Because when is last time? I know this is something Ethan said so many times. I know he's probably super happy me saying this, but when the last time we seen Kyron take a 5 to 7 yard play and take it 15 to 20
Thank
Right.
you,
yards,
bro. Thank you. That's what.
or
Yeah, exactly.
or if we're at the 40 yard line, he gets a 35 yard run and scores.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Jamar Gibbs. Gibbs
Yeah,
just had a run like that the other night where
right,
they were, I think, the 30 and he had a 30 yard run straight to the hole, straight to the touchdown.
right.
Yeah,
And he's done that multiple times.
yeah, he just hits a hole and it's touchdown.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
and I watch Kyron and I like Kyron. I'm a Kyron fan, but week by week I'm starting to notice, man, he's just not the guy that's I think that we need if we're gonna go on that Super Bowl run like I want us to do. So
Wow,
maybe this off season,
wow. This is
I don't
growth for
know.
Joe,
I
man.
think
This is
It's
growth.
I'm gonna
Joe,
hold back. I'm gonna hold back some because I kind of want to have a longer conversation about it later
sure.
down the line. But I'm gonna keep it there. That's my stock down. Start with.
honestly, I respect that because some people just are stubborn, and once they've decided they like a player, they like defend them no matter what. And I think you're being very fair right now. And like,
Yeah,
yeah, I just think he just lacks that juice. Like, if it's blocked for 22, he's gonna get you 22. Whereas like Jameer Gibbs,
yeah.
if it's blocked for 22, that's a house call. Like, yeah, man, it gets. He's very steady, and that's great. But I mean, we haven't had a home run threat in the run game, and that's
And it's not like
sorely lacking. I think that's the
and
X factor for Detroit. Like, they're the best team in football. And I think,
yeah.
obviously there's a lot of reasons why they're good, but Jameer Gibbs is like, to me, that's like their X factor.
And the sort of thing with Kyron, and it's not like he's this super power running back to where, okay, he's not busting out long plays, but he's still getting you 10 9 yards a pop. He's throwing
Yeah,
guys off of him.
which is
He's
cool.
going through guys' chests, blah, blah, blah. He's not even that type of back. He's just sort of like
Yeah.
in the middle. And I
Yeah.
don't think a middle type of guy is what we need if we want to
Yep.
go
No,
to the promised land.
I don't want to pile on him because I do that enough, but I agree with your assessment. He is kind of in that middle part where he's neither fast enough, elusive enough, or powerful enough to be running. And he kind of in this middle spot. What he ends up doing is he ends up looking kind of like Le'Veon Bell, where he's just kind of like waiting for something to happen, and then he wants, but he doesn't have the athleticism to do it. Like Le'Veon used to really patiently wait, and then he used to explode through those holes. Kyron patiently waits and then trickles through those holes, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there is some guys who can be the middle guy and can be really effective, but to be the middle guy and be really effective, you have to be super decisive and you have to make very fast decisions and have good vision, and Kyron lacks those things. If he had like elite vision and was just so quick at making decisions, he would actually be good because we give him huge holes. But he
Yeah.
doesn't have
Yeah.
any of that stuff. And the hesitating with a lack of speed is just a killer, and that's what we saw yesterday, and that's what we've seen several times this season. Because last year, one of the differences between last year and this year is that he was more decisive, but also the holes were just unmissable.
Oh, yeah.
Like you cannot miss it because they were so big, and they've been good this year. It's just, man,
And then he still sometimes did miss it.
no. I don't want to rag on him too much. So who's your stock down on offense?
So I'm gonna say just the tight end position as a whole, like
That's
the tight end
That's a
room,
that's a
good one.
really good
That's a
one.
good one.
the
That's a
tight end
good one.
room, I guess. I think Ethan, you brought up last episode the snap counts for Colby Parkinson. So I think you had stocked down Colby Parkinson last
Yep,
episode, and then
because
we
of the
talked
snap
about
count, so they could keep
the
going down.
snap counts were dwindling, and now I don't know what's going. It's like I saw just as much Hunter Long, I saw Davis Allen, I saw some Colby Parkinson, but
Well,
like
glad you
none of
asked.
them. Oh yeah, yeah.
Here's Colby Parkinson below Davis Allen right here. See?
Interesting.
So 55%
Man,
for Davis Allen, 42% for Colby, and then Hunter Long had 34%.
Yo, Colby Parkinson's in the doghouse. I mean,
And he deserves
that's
it.
a sudden, yeah. I mean,
He's
agreed.
not good enough, bro.
That's a
He's not good.
sudden. He kind of just disappeared from the lineup. And but look, Davis Allen and Hunter Long aren't giving us much either. I mean, this
No,
is
the whole position, you
these
nailed
guys
it on
are
the
just
head, actually. The whole position's just doo-doo.
they're just all, and actually, I think you had mentioned like I can't remember if we were recording or not, but as far as like the four, yeah, I think it was offline. The four wide receiver sets. The funny thing is, you were saying like, oh, we should run more four wide receiver
Yep.
set. And it's funny because our fourth wide receiver, let's say Livingston, is actually probably a better blocker
Yep.
than Davis Allen or Hunter Long anyway. So it's like
And Colby.
I
Colby's
don't think
blocking's been
defense
mediocre.
yeah, like I mean, maybe you put them in just to like look more honest, I guess. Like, oh, give more of like a run. We don't know if they're gonna run or pass type of look, that sort of
I
thing. But
actually think that works better with 4 receivers, anyways.
yeah, if you're able to, you actually no, you're right. If you're able to run it well, even with the four, yeah, you're
I
you're right.
think
So it's
so. The two, yeah, that was such a good stock down, and I think this is the time for McVay to lean into what we have talent wise, right? We talked about on defense them going to 4 down linemen more often because we only have 4 good down linemen, like really good ones, and it gives us an opportunity to stack the back end more and make it more difficult for quarterbacks. And on the flip end, we don't have a talented tight end. We just don't. We have no one who's. I would say all 3 tight ends are bottom 10 starting
yeah,
quality.
we don't
ends.
even have a decent tight end.
No, we
Like
don't.
we like they're just none of them are any good.
I mean, just to all the people watching at home, make a choice. Would you rather have D-Rob playing 80% of the snaps or any of our tight ends?
Yeah.
Or Jordan Whittington. I guess pick your.
And Whittington who can block.
It's just
well
not even
again.
question. It's not even a question, bro. It's not a question. And so, I say make those adjustments on both sides of the ball and play to the talent you have on your roster.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And as a Rams fan, I'll be honest with you guys, I've never been that high on Tyler Higbee. I think he's just like he's pretty good, he's
He
nothing to write home
is
about.
average.
But I'm getting excited for him to return just by virtue of the fact that these guys are so trash. Like I want Tyler Higbee back, and I'm looking forward to for him returning because he's better than these guys and he can play.
You know what's funny? In the beginning of the season, I sort of was thinking Kobe and Tyler Higbee wasn't that far apart. And
Yeah,
watching it this
same.
season,
And I was
I
wrong.
don't know if they're still maybe not they're not far apart, but Tyler Higbee is clearly better than Parkinson. He's
No, I
clearly
agree.
better
No,
than
Joe, I think you're
Allen.
I'm
He's clearly better than Long.
I'm
I think
actually
Higbee is a considerable.
I'm actually going to push back on both of you on this because Higbee of 3 years ago, yes, but Higbee basically hasn't played for the last 3 seasons. And when he has
Okay, yeah.
played,
Well,
he's
that's fair.
looked really bad because he's playing injured. So we haven't seen Higbee
That's
for
fair.
real for a few years now.
Man, we should just trade for a tight end then.
Yes, that's the
These guys all
dude.
suck.
Look where I'm at right now. I moved here to see what teams are trash, and so look, we have Jacksonville. They have Evan Ingram, right?
I like him a lot.
Patriots
actually.
have Hunter Henry. He's kind of decent.
I think in the right offense he'd be very good. Yeah.
Do the Dolphins still have Gesicki? He's okay.
He's on I think the Bengals.
Oh, the Titans have a tight end I like. What's his name? He's got an African name. What is it? It's Okonkwo. Okonkwo's really good.
Oh yeah.
I would take Okonkwo, bro. He's solid.
I'd take any of these guys.
I know. Oh, but by the way, I skipped over where was I? I skipped over the Browns with David Njoku.
Oh hell yeah, bro! It's funny because even just last week I was like, yeah, I'll take David Njoku. I just think we have like bigger needs. But now I'm like, nah, like yeah, let's take it. Actually, that's one of our worst position groups.
Well, so we had talked about this, and I said I prefer nose tackle. But now that we're moving to doing more 4-down sets, and Tyler Davis is playing more,
right.
Nose tackle has gone down in needs, and tight end has gone up. So we got the Raiders have Michael Mayer, who I would trade for at a heartbeat. You know what? The Cowboys have a guy. What's his name? Ferguson. I really like a lot.
Jake Ferguson's really good.
I would trade for Jake Ferguson.
I don't think they would trade him, but I would love to trade for him.
The Saints, they don't. I'm Taysom Hill, but I don't want Taysom Hill. The Panthers, they don't have anyone either, do they? But we named like 8 guys.
There's guys to be had.
Let's just check. While we're here. The Panthers tight end is. They got their rookie Jatavian. They're not going to change Jatavian. He was a second round pick. And then the what?
That's Jatavion Foster,
No,
correct?
Jatavion Sanders, the
Yeah,
guy
Okay,
from
okay.
Texas, the rookie from Texas last year. And then
I
Oh
know
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I remember him.
actually, you know what? Jawan Johnson's not a bad player. I might actually
Oh,
take
oh
Jawan
no, for
Johnson.
sure. Jawan Johnson's good, man. Yeah,
He's
for
solid.
sure.
So
He's pretty good.
there's like 8 guys who are probably on the trading block who are better than all 4 receivers we have currently on the Rams.
Yeah, all 4 tight ends. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Honestly, it might be the move to make.
I agree. And
It
so,
is.
first of
It
all,
is. It is.
I 100% agree. And I think, unfortunately, we're not going to do it because I just feel like McVay has like certain guys. Like, it's the same thing we talk about why Quorum's not playing,
Mm-hmm.
why Reader and Roseboom play. It's like there's these certain players where he's like stubbornly
But
like
he
McVay
doesn't.
seems to like them. And Tyler Higbee seems to be one of
Yeah,
those
he
players.
does.
We've
We
re-signed him
extended him when
twice
we shouldn't have.
where when I was like, ah, like I don't know, he's not, he's not really giving us that much. I just, for whatever reason, McVay just seems to really like Higby, so I think he's gonna be like fine rolling into the
Okay,
season with Higby coming back. But
before we move on though, I wanna present a vision to you guys, right? A vision of like a general game plan for the Rams, and this includes trading for any of the tight ends we just mentioned, right? And the vision is we get basically an elite passing attack. We have Cooper Cup, we've got Puka Nacua, we have Whitty, we got D Rob, 4 great receivers. Then we trade for a tight end who's capable. We have 5 guys who can catch the ball really well. We have a great O line. We have a very heavy pass attack heavy offense, right? So we go for taking leads. Then what do we do on the flip side, on the defensive side? We have the I've been calling it's the fearsome foursome, is it? I've been saying foursome fearsome all night long. I realize.
I think you went back, you did.
Yeah, I might have gone back and forth. But
Yeah,
then we have the fearsome foursome. So we go to these 4 down sets. We get teams behind. We go to the 4 down sets with we go to nickel and dime, and we clog the passing lanes in heavy zone. So we just heavy passing attack, try to be one of the best offenses in football, and then just clog it up with 4 elite pass rushers. That's honestly, despite our deficiencies, that's a Super Bowl contending strategy. Because if you have holes, you have to hide them. And how do you hide them? By doing stuff like that, that accentuates the
Agree.
strengths and it reduces the weakness. I think that's a Super Bowl contending strategy because if we can have a top 3 passing offense, we can get guys behind and then we can apply elite pressure and have not necessarily elite coverage, but we have so many guys in coverage that it's really difficult to complete passes. That could actually work as like a general strategy week in and week out.
for sure. This pass rush with the lead, that's the recipe right there. Like
Rest,
that's how we want to
and
play, man.
we're still playing too much man. I would even when we were playing nickel and dime, we were still playing a lot of man. I want to see a heavy zone because really we don't. The only guy who's really good at man on our team right now is D Will.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
Durant's shown some flashes in man, but like,
Yeah, he had flashes.
do I trust him to
At-
like man up a great
he's
receiver?
good
No.
in man in the slot specifically.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you.
Which, by the way, is usually an exception when you're playing a zone. Oftentimes, the slot will play man while the rest of the secondary plays zone. There's a lot of options. We need to make a move at the deadline, and we need to make a decision in the general direction our team goes. I'm starting to feel like the best decision we can make is to go for a tight end, have an elite passing offense, and rely on this young pass rushing core and just clog up passing lanes with a bunch of bodies in the secondary.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I think that's the
Yeah.
absolute best thing that we can do this season to be successful. So, interesting. Let's go to stock down defense. You know what? It's not going to be a long. I don't know. I mean, sheesh.
I might, yeah.
Rose
I have
Boom.
one guy. I have one guy. I'm making quick. 'Cause I know we're gonna get to the Dolphins game. My stock down was Kobe Durant. Not and
Okay.
it's mostly
Fair.
because that second half he had was pretty bad, and he did some things that I did not like at all. I think he got beat really bad on a Jackson Smith and Jigba
Mhm.
touchdown, and also he got beat on a big play. I think late in the fourth too. So if I had to pick a guy, I'll say Kobe Durant's my stock down for this week.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw out a stock down too for Akila Witherspoon.
Yep.
He's just not a number 2 guy. He's not a number 1 guy. He's not a number 2 guy. I don't think he's a slot guy either. I think he's a perfect third rotational corner who could come in for an injured guy or for a breather. He just makes too many mistakes. He's just not athletic enough. He's just his whole game as a whole has just got too many holes in it to be a starting caliber corner. And then I'm gonna stock down Christian Roseboom because we had discussed him being a McDonald's drive-through attendant. I don't
Jeez,
think he's
bro.
actually qualified for that anymore. He might need to be on the street corners begging for food after this is over.
Bro, did you see Christian Roseman whiff on the fumble recovery early in the game when they fumbled
Oh,
the snap?
oh,
Dude,
we forgot to
And then
that
mention.
was so awful,
that
bro.
was the like I wanted to go. I shouldn't even say
You know, it's
that.
funny. So I was talking about this when we first started watching film because that was pretty early, right? And I said he runs so recklessly, and I want to say he's the one who
He
hit.
runs like an
He runs with
go
like
ahead.
no control, totally reckless. I want to say he's the one who ran into Cam Curl and gave him a concussion earlier this season too, and then, but he was so out of control on that fumble recovery.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about fumbles, we would be remiss without mentioning because we talked about Kyron being stuck down. He also fumbled the ball pretty badly, and that could have been disastrous. Cooper Cup's awareness level
Oh, yeah.
99,
That was-
bro. What a great recovery.
Yeah, that was huge.
Did you have a stuck down?
It was a Kello Witherspoon. I'm not really going to add anything. I mean, we talked about the play, huge play where he just misplaced the ball and just overall didn't think it was a good day for him. The PI call on him was BS, but still like just just not inspiring a lot of confidence. I don't know. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, so let's move on to the preview. We are talking about Rams versus Dolphins on Monday Night Football.
It's an interesting game, man. Really interesting.
You know, I'm going to start it off with this graphic I found that is crazy. The Dolphins are missing a lot of pieces, bro. A lot of really talented pieces. These are all starters, I think, to start the season. So they are very wounded. Now, Javon Holland was doubtful for this last week, so he may play against us. That's possible. And I'm not wishing ill upon him, but he's one of the best safeties in football. So if he's not playing, that would be really good for us. Let's just go ahead and dive into the Rams offense versus the Dolphins defense. I'll break down the depth charts real quick for us. The Rams might be 100%. It's looking possible, likely, that we'll be getting Avila and Jonah Jackson back and Jordan Whittington back. So for the first time all season, we may be at 100% health on the offensive side of the football, minus Tyler Higbee, I guess. But we have 4 Tyler Higbees at this point, so what's the difference? Yeah. So that's exciting. And the Dolphins are just injuries everywhere. They're starting right defensive end. Zach Seiler, I think is how it's pronounced, is out. Javon Holland was doubtful last week, so he could still definitely miss this week. They're one of their starting corners, Cater Kohu, is out. Now Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, Jordan Poyer are all still really, really freaking good. The secondary is really good. If Javon Holland plays, that's one of the best secondaries in football. And then they got a decent front seven, but they're really hurt. David Long and Jordan Brooks is an elite inside linebacker combo. Neither player is elite enough themselves, but as a duo, they're pretty good. But
this a game where Stafford, in my opinion, Stafford has to be careful this game, man.
100%.
And he probably won't be careful.
He probably won't be.
But you're right.
So the first thing, I guess, when we're discussing the offense versus the defense is just, well, you know what? You summed it up perfectly. Stafford needs to be really careful against the secondary. Yeah. He probably won't. Now the Dolphins are 2-6, I think. But Tua was out. They've had all these injuries on defense,
right.
And
it's not a typical 2-6 team. I mean,
they're much more talented. But we've talked about it. They don't seem to have a lot of heart or a lot of like.
You know toughness. What? This whole season, we keep using the same phrase. A lot of people keep using it. I think this is the closest you get to a trap game.
Yeah,
they're 2-6, we're 4-4. We're on the roll right now. We're on a heater. I think this low key could be a trap game because I'm gonna get to it later on the whatever it is called coming up next. I'm gonna get to it later. Yeah, but I think this could possibly be a trap game. Bro.
I think it could be a trap game as far as like fans or like the NFL, outside world or media. But there's, I think for the Rams, like the fact that their season was almost dead, and McVay knows, he's smart enough to know like Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, to Mike McDaniel, like that's not a team to. So I think from the outside world, it could be a trap game, but not. I don't think internally they're overlooking the Dolphins by any means.
Let's move on to the defense versus the offense, so we can get into the juicy parts here. Rams are very healthy. It looks very possible, likely that John Johnson could be back by next week as well.
That'd be big.
Is that correct? I think that's
the game to get him back, bro, against Tyreek and these deep receivers.
McVay hasn't said he's coming on 21-day
Oh, I thought he was on
activation
the
window yet.
20. I thought he was on 21-day activation.
No, it's just Avila and Jonah.
Really?
Oh, I
Okay.
thought it was John
Yeah.
Johnson and
No, I
Jonah.
don't. I
Avila,
mean,
I thought already was.
you can correct me if you
I'll
can,
look it
but
up
I
in a
think it
second.
was
I'm
just
trying to find
I
it
think
too
it was
now.
just Jonah Jackson and Avila.
Um, might as well look it up real quick.
Yeah, let's see. Because that's big. If he comes back, that's huge.
But didn't they activate Puka from the 21-day window, and then like 3 days or 4 days later he played? So it's still
Yeah.
possible, I guess, to like activate him soon.
Apparently, John Johnson's a very popular name. I can't find anything of
Yeah,
John
it's okay.
Johnson.
We can put it in the comments or something.
Yeah. So, anyways, we got going on is our defense is pretty darn healthy. John Johnson may be the only guy who's missing in action, and their offense is pretty much fully healthy, I think. Odell's playing, Jalen Waddle's playing, Tyreek's playing, their O line's pretty healthy, Tua's playing, and then they have Mostert and a chain both playing. So, and Ingle I think is going to play too. So their whole starting offense is healthy. And one of the reasons why you call this trap game is because fans are going to be looking at a 2-6 team, but they have about 5 guys on offense who can beat you at any moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's a dangerous team, man. Like
They're
I'm
so
not like
dangerous.
I'm
And
a
if
little
we get
nervous.
into a shootout against that secondary,
hmm
that sounds like a
It
recipe for
should be a
disaster.
fun matchup. It should be a good game.
It should be a great game and definitely not something to sleep on. But this is the line. This is the offense versus defense lineup. Let's go ahead and get to our key matchup show. Why don't you lead us off?
Right. So my key matchup is the defensive line versus Tua.
Okay.
What I want to see is
Oh, you're gonna say
get
Chua's
into
head for a second. Ugh.
no, get into his face, make him uncomfortable, and make him, because sometimes what Tua does is he get to the point where he'll get scrambled brains. Oh, okay, that was a bad one. But
That was
he
bad.
yeah, that was bad. He would get to a point to
Oh
where
my
he would.
god, bro.
What can I make? Let me make up something different. He can get to the point to where
Yeah, we'll edit it out.
he makes bad decisions with pressure. And because one thing about Tua, he is pretty accurate when he has
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But when you get in his face,
He panics.
he's he panics a lot. And I think if we could be physical with them, get in their face, make Tua make bad reads, I think we could. I think we could. I think we could do a lot with Tua. Get a couple sacks, get them frustrated. I think that's my key matchup: the
Those are
secondary
those are
versus. I
great.
mean, not secondary.
Yeah,
Tua versus our defensive line.
the fearsome foursome.
Yeah.
Yep, Frizz and Force. Right.
Well,
My key matchup is going to be our receivers against that talented secondary that you mentioned, Ramsey and all those guys. And obviously, we pretty much all agreed. I think the offense didn't have its best game at all against Seattle, but I feel like typically McVay teams kind of like bounce back. Like a lot of times after like a lull, they'll show up and start fast the next game. So that's what I'm looking for, and see if these guys can get open against a talented secondary. See if Stafford can. I don't know if you want to call it a bounce back game, but you can call it that if you want.
sure. My key matchup was actually specifically going to be guys against Jalen Ramsey, Puka,
Yeah.
Cup, Whittington, D. Rob.
Mhm.
I think not for the reason why it's a key matchup for me, not a key to victory, is because I don't think the game hinges on it. It's just what I'm most interested in watching because it's interesting to see how all 4 guys do against a truly elite cover corner.
Yeah.
So this is
And
just for
former
the
Rams. Cool.
what?
I think it's also just like a cool matchup.
Yeah, because it's former Ram, and
Yeah.
when you talk about elite corners, Jalen kind of always leaps to the top of the charts for me. So I want to see how all 4 of the receivers face off against Jalen when he's guarding them, because it's a proving opportunity for them. So
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting key matchup. So let's move on to the keys to victory. Who wants to get started on keys to victory?
I'll do my same thing I do every week. I do the don't turn this now to a superstar thing.
Yeah.
And another person I want to harp on is Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
Now, Jalen Waddle, he had a decent game last week. He's been pretty bad to start the
He
season
has,
because
yeah.
Tua was hurt, so I give him Bell on that. And he was okay last game. I don't know his exact yards, but he was okay last
He
game.
had
But
109.
109, right?
5
So
catches for 109. Really good. Yeah.
it seems like he's sort of revving up a little bit. So I think that's Tyreek. I know the Rams are going to make sure Tyreek doesn't go crazy, but Jalen Waddle is the guy. You cannot make him into a superstar this week because he could beat you the same way Tyreek could beat you. He could beat you over the top too. And those plays we had against Seattle, you cannot. Let me reiterate this again. You cannot make those same mistakes against Miami because Miami is a team where they have a offense to where once it gets in gear, it's hard to slow them down. And they're
Yeah.
2-6. Most of the tour was out, but the thing is, it's sort of easy not to get there. It's sort of easy to take them out what they want to do. But if they get into a rhythm and they get into what they want to do, it's hard to stop them. So
Yep,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what that's the key to victory. Make sure Jalen Waddle doesn't turn into a superstar.
that's a good one.
Yeah. Joe, I'm gonna steal your I like your little segment that you do, and I'm gonna steal your phrasing.
Oh,
You
that's
were talking
cool.
about Justin Jefferson the other week, and you said, just make him a star, not a superstar. And I'm
Yeah.
just gonna do that with Tyreek Hill. I mean, first of all, I like your Jalen Waddle one because yeah, it's like so much attention is gonna be paid to Tyreek that Waddle could pop off. But I'm still gonna
Mhm.
say Tyreek Hill, even though it's the obvious one.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
make him a star, not a superstar. And like last week, JSN killed us, man. By the way, that was my key to victory was
It was.
JSN against the middle of our defense, which
It
some of its
was.
Good
players
call.
were
That was a
outside, but
good
a lot of
call.
them were in the middle of the defense. And DK was out. That was like the main threat, and he just went the F off.
Yeah.
So Tyreek Hill, keep him in check as much as you can.
Okay. And I was actually going to go on to the same train of thought. I was going to say basically limit the explosives from
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
offense as a whole because a chain and
Yeah.
Mostert can both blow up.
A
But
chain can. Yeah.
but I'll go to the outside of the ball to give us a different flavor here, and I'm going to say truly the key to victory is because I think if the offense of the Miami Dolphins gets going, we need to match them, and the key to matching them is for Stafford to take care of the football. So for me,
Yep.
my key to victory is Stafford making good decisions with the ball.
That's
We
a good one.
honestly take D Rob out of the equation and just talk about our main three guys, Whittington, Puka, and Cup. They all are so capable of crazy yak. Just get the
Mhm.
guy who's open and space the ball and let him do his thing.
Right.
It's when all the offense is the best is when guys are just making plays. It's not when Stafford's like drilling impossible throws. It's when we're just the whole offense as a unit is just making plays together.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be the Matthew Stafford show. It needs to be the LA Rams
Right.
offense show. And so
Right.
I just wanted to make the right decision at the right time because we can't afford mistakes against the team. If the offense gets going for Miami, Tua is capable of having 0 turnover games when that offense is revving. And if we turn that ball over, we could be cooked. The last thing
Yeah.
we want to do is lose to a 2-6 team when we're on our way towards making a season comeback and potentially fighting for the number 1 seed in the division.
Totally agree.
I agree. I'm with you.
All right, prediction time.
I guess I'll just go first. Since I already got it on my mind. I'm gonna say we get the last ditch effort from the Miami Dolphins. I think they come in, try to and be hot, and they try to give it all because I think 2-6 is already nailed. 2-7, you're just buried under the
Yeah.
ground. So I think we get a last ditch effort for them, but and they might have a strong first half, but I think Rams punch them in the mouth second half. I go Rams 31-17.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow. That's
blowout.
basically a blowout. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I think season on the line, they've got some pieces offensively. That it's going to be it should be a good game. I'm going to just say I think it'll be a shootout too. I'm going to say Rams 31, Dolphins 26.
All right, so I'm gonna give a couple of reasons for why I am gonna predict the way I'm going to. Number one is there is some signs pointing towards the Dolphins being sellers at the trade deadline. The trade deadline is tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time, and I just saw this before we started, but there's like betting odds on where Tyreek Hill is going to end up before the trade deadline's over tomorrow. So and the number 1 team is the Kansas City Chiefs right now. They're leading the betting odds on where Tyreek ends up. So that's wild. I didn't I don't blame them. They're just the team just is they just don't have no chemistry, man. It's weird. They're so
Yeah.
talented every season and they don't do anything. And I think the coach I think it's top down on that. So they could be gone. They could trade some other talent. I mean, Jalen could be gone. You have some guys on defense that could be gone. There's just a lot of things that could happen here that would really change the aspect of this game. The other thing is I think they've been kind of kicked in the mouth all season long. This Miami team, and they've never, since Mike McDaniel has gotten there, they've never really spoken to me as a team that has any mental fortitude or mental toughness at all. I always am like reminded of the fact that they hated Vic Fangio because he made them like work hard and like have attention to detail and be like professionals. It's weird. Like they really disliked Vic Fangio, and most of the complaints are when they're talking about why he wasn't a good coach. Most of it was a kind of like pointing towards the fact that he's kind of a hard ass coach. You know, when he demands a lot from his players. I'm like, isn't that what good coaches do? But the whole Miami scene, it's just like a Miami feel, man. Like they just want to have a good time. They want to freaking chill, and they just
Yeah.
never seem like a serious organization or a serious team. And I don't think a team like that beats the LA Rams in the middle of this comeback surge, to be honest.
Yep.
So between the fact that they
I
may be
agree.
selling big pieces and they just seem like they're too cool for school, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say they had last week. I'm gonna go 35-21. 35-24.
Yeah,
I
that's a good
think
one. I like that.
I think the return of full health for the offensive line and the return of our full weapons. Man, I don't know. I predicted a blowout. I think I'm gonna predict it again. I think could be a terrible prediction. Stafford occasionally has these games where he basically doesn't make any bad decisions and he's just balling. And
And,
I think this might
and
be
it's
one of
Monday, and
those.
it's Monday night too. It's Monday night too, live Monday
And the
night. So
Rams are notorious for being great performers on and when in the brightest lights, and Stafford
mhm.
as
Yeah.
well
Pretty good in prime time.
has that reputation. So
Yeah.
I
I mean, the last thing I like just to play devil's advocate, I guess to myself and to all three of us. I just want to quickly mention though that the last two games, Dolphins played the Cardinals very, very tough, very close.
true,
Which the Cardinals are, we can argue, but I think they're a solid team. And then last week they only lost by 3 to the Bills, who are a very good team. So I'm just throwing that out there. Like
true.
this, I'm a little nervous for this game. I am. I think they're a
That's
dangerous
why
team. So
that's why I said it's a trap
I
game,
mean,
man. Because what could happen is that Miami Dolphins could come in and get super hot and just go crazy. But the only thing that I will say is that other than the Cardinals game, the Rams haven't been blown out this year. And even when teams, because the Vikings started off super hot, we've gone against teams that start off really hot, and then we compose ourselves and come back and come back to earth and bring the other team back to earth a little bit. But I,
yeah,
I agree with you though. The Dolphins are a scary 2-6,
yeah, yeah, they are. It's an
scary two
interesting
and
game.
six team, and it could get bad if the Rams don't come out and,
Yeah,
and handle
I
business.
have a
agreed.
feeling. I have a feeling they're just gonna come out flat. Whether it's a big trade that they make that deflates the team, or just the fact that they're kind of basically eliminated from playoff contention already.
Yeah,
They just don't seem like the kind of team to like fight until the end. You know.
yeah,
Oh, listen,
yeah, I hear that.
if the Dolphins come in flat, the Rams might blow them out because the Rams are never going to come in the game. Like the Rams, if they start flat, they're never going to end flat. The Rams are their type of team where they got
Sure.
great mental toughness, and and if the Dolphins get into the game and the Dolphins get to they lose composure and they don't have the mental toughness they need to,
Sure.
the Rams are gonna stomp on them.
It kind of reminds me of that movie Unbreakable. You guys ever seen that movie with Bruce Willis
No,
and Samuel L.
no.
Jackson?
I probably have seen it, but I don't remember it.
It's a M Night Shyamalan movie, I think, and Bruce Willis is unbreakable. He's this guy who finds out that he can't be hurt. He's in a plane crash and survives. He's in a train derailment. He survives, and he realizes he's unbreakable. And then he's got that. That's what the Rams remind me of Bruce Willis' character in Unbreakable. He's just like he's unfazed. Nothing hurts him. And then on the flip side, the in the movie, his villain, the guy who's like a comic book nerd, he's trying to figure out he sees himself as a piece, and because he's a comic book nerd, it's Samuel Jackson's character, Mr. Glass. He feels like because he has that disease that makes his bones really dense, and they break all the
Oh,
time.
I have seen that one.
It's a great
Yeah,
movie, and so
it's a sequel to the other ones. It's like a sequel because it's the other ones with that same actor as the main guy. It's a sequel too. I think I've seen that one before. Okay.
anyways, it's the Mr. Glass character, Samuel Jackson. He actually,
Yeah.
after Bruce Willis's character survives a plane crash, he orchestrates a lot of other like the train. He orchestrates the train derailment and other things to see if Bruce would survive because he's looking for his opposite, his the yang to his yin and all that, right? And then so I feel like that's what the Rams and Dolphins are. I know it's a long story, but that kind of makes it feel like the Rams are unbreakable. We're mentally tough. We're unfazed. Even if we start bad, we catch up. Even if the season starts bad, we catch up. I feel like the Dolphins are literally the exact opposite of that. I think they're the most mentally weak team in the NFL. And if things aren't going perfectly for them, they just get totally deflated, whether it's in the game or the season. Bro, I can't get over the fact that they've had like top 3 talent every year and then they just fizzle out every time.
Yeah.
It's just a team that I don't take seriously because of that reason. And so there's so many scenarios where I see the Dolphins falling apart, and there's no scenario where I see the Rams falling apart, unless Stafford has a game similar to this one and they actually catch those balls.
And they catch the picks.
And we're cooked. But otherwise, I think...
Which is entirely possible.
Which is entirely possible. And the other scenario is they have 5 guys who run 4.340s who could literally just blitz through past all of our secondary guys. They could just get... Their guys could just get hot and just... They could score. They could have 5 huge touchdown plays. So there's like 2 extreme scenarios. Anywhere in the middle, Rams win the game, I think.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it. That was a great episode. I'm excited to see this Monday night game. I'm really excited to be a part of kind of this comeback season, and we're clawing and scratching our way for the division lead. I still need more copium for thinking about a division or thinking of us as a Super Bowl contender, but I do see an avenue to it. I just wonder if the coaches and the front office will do the steps necessary to get us there.
Hopefully tomorrow, next episode, we got a trade. We got a new guy.
You know what?
We just keep on pushing.
We may have to do a special episode on the trade deadline if there's a move made.
If we do make a trade and we make a nice move, we probably could do like a 30, 35-minute episode real quick.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, subscribe, throw us a like. We really appreciate any feedback on the quality of the content, anything that we could do better. Feedback is greatly appreciated, but we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys next episode.
Later, guys.
All right. See y'all later.